All right, we are live. Tonight, I'm coming out of the Ghastly Hallows, accompanied by my two co-hosts.
Big Clappity Red.
And Sleepy Bolt.
Ah, yes, Sleepy
Damn
Bolt.
sleepy.
We're coming out of you today on what is essentially going to be our special little Halloween episode here, because October only has 4 weeks, folks, even though I wish it was all year round. And doesn't last as long as Carl Urban's lines do. Isn't that right, Bolt?
That was a terrible reference, and I'm not dignifying that with a further
You're
response.
gonna have to explain that.
Yes.
No, he does not have to explain that.
You
No,
will.
no, because he can't explain it.
Look,
Red, don't, Red. I will take away all the water in your freaking ocean.
I don't understand it either, and the good people of our audience don't.
So
That's fine. Ignorance is bliss, after all.
So this week we went down to...
That actually is one of the themes we're going to talk about. So.
Ah, yes. Ignorance is indeed bliss. So this week, folks, Bolt and I had the joy of going down to New York City Comic Con, where we got to meet some very interesting horror icons, got to rub shoulders with some great cosplayers. We also had a very interesting... one of us had an interesting meeting with Carl Urban.
37. My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks.
In a row?
No, anyway.
I hope the lawyers eat you alive. You want to mention the Sonic Shoe sighting that you spotted?
Yes, I saw a kid dressed up as Christian. We ran into a bunch of Dead by Daylight cosplay killers, which is pretty funny. Although I think the Christian kid was the funniest thing, because I remember walking up to it, Bolt in our group here, and it was just too funny. I have like a special eye for weird shit. I don't know how to explain this to folks, but I'm very good at minding my business and then seeing something weird just come in front of me and then point and go interact with it. So for those of you out there who don't know, most of you don't want to know, I ran into a kid dressed up as Christian Weston Chandler. Go look that up at your own risk. You don't want to know? All I'll tell you is he is the most documented human being on the planet, and he is the original lol cow. That's all you want to know. You don't want to know anything else after that. Trust me. Oh man, someone's about to drive into the Christian.
Dude, like, you can't do that. Like, this is...
Because we would be here forever if I were to tell you who Chris Chan is.
Look. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how bad I imagine it. It is the fact that you told me not to look it up means I'm going to look it up. So, okay.
You were warned.
You were
Pretty
warned.
bad so far.
All right, I'll tell you what he did.
Snyder gives us a nice timeline. That's convenient.
Because he's the most documented human being in the history of the planet.
Badly.
Like, I'm not kidding. He's a very, like, there's a record of he's the most recorded human being on the planet. Like, there's the most he holds, like, the record of most things recorded that he's done. Because it's all out there, so people report on everything he does. He's a fucking lol
Wait,
cow.
I think I've heard of this.
Yeah, a lot of people have. And the kid who I took a picture with dressed as Chris Chan, and I quote, said, "A lot of people know. Only few of us know who." How was it I say? Because we both cracked up. That's why I'm laughing in the picture I took with him. Few of us know, and the kid looked at me and goes, "And those of us who do wish we didn't." When you know all the stuff that Chris Chan has done. Forever Sonichu, the interdimensional merge is upon us. For those of you who know, you know. Right, Bolt? We're going to ignore the things he did to his mother, too, right, while we're at it. This is a somewhat R-rated stream, not an X one. Take that for whatever you will.
I wish it was alcohol right now.
Yeah, I wish it was alcohol, too, but no, this is all for real. Chris Chan did a lot of fucked up stuff. And there's a kid dressed up as him at the con, and I couldn't stop laughing when I saw it. And he knew that I knew, and we laughed.
And that was more horrifying than the Michael Myers that snuck up on us out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah, that was fucking weird, too. So we went. We're there with our group of friends. You know who they are, Adrian. John. You know who they are. I'm like there with the code name, so I'm about to drop them in a few minutes. My brain is not there. So, anyways.
Yes. I'd be up for just dropping the code names.
All right, fuck it. Everyone knows my name. We're gonna drop the names. Fuck it. I'm just gonna call myself that for my own brand recognition over on TikTok still. But from there, everybody else, you know who I am.
It's your alter ego.
Yeah, it's my alter ego over on TikTok.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're there with our friends, and our friend John points behind us, and this dude. We're talking about Dead by Daylight, and this dude dressed up as Michael Myers is just standing there. We don't know where the hell he came from. We don't know who the hell he is. We don't know what the hell his deal was. But he started just standing there staring at us. Mm-hmm. And we're like looking at him, and we're like, do you play Dead by Daylight? Like, what's happening here? And he's just staring at us, like, in character. Like, looking, pausing. So Adrian's like, do we have a flashlight at him? Make him go away? Like, what do we do? Alright, fuck it. We'll just take a picture with him. And we did. We took the picture. He tilted his head like this. And he just walked on about his way. We're like, cool. That wasn't weird at all. That was totally normal. Totally normal experience at Comic-Con.
And then we ran into him again.
Yes, and we ran into him again. At which point,
it was the same one.
Because he looked the same. Same outfit, same bag he was carrying. But that time, it was just kind of like, he just kept walking about his day. Yeah, Comic-Con. But we got to meet some interesting folks that we might hope to see here on the podcast eventually. I got to meet the dude who drew all of the covers for Goosebumps. He signed my book. I bought a book off him and he signed it for me. So it's a lot of fun. It's always good to get out there too. I finally got to meet some other fellow people who are in the horror section.
If we can get him on, that would be amazing.
That would be. Hopefully, he remembers who I am. So that would be great if I'm able to talk. We're able to talk to him, pick his brain. I think that'd be a nice, fun stream, fun interview to do, fun episode. And from there, why don't you tell him about your adventure meeting Carl Urban? That'd be nice.
There was no adventure. We were held hostage. Like terrorists was involved. If the mother was losing her shit, it was nothing important. It was like an episode on 24.
Wait, so there was an enhanced interrogation?
Yeah.
Okay, so who was Carl Urban? Who is this person?
You know Carl? You ever seen The Boys?
No, I haven't.
Lord of the Rings?
Have you ever seen Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
He's the prince from Rohan. Aomer Rohan.
I'm not
ever
a
seen
massive
Ghost
Lord
Ship?
of the Rings fan, so I don't know exactly who you're talking about.
Ghost Ship.
Right, well, clearly you're a Brother History first of
Prince
Christian.
Rohan.
You look up Carl Urban.
Is this guy?
Aomer and
Yeah, I know who that is.
yeah, that's who Adrian was in line to meet for like 6 to 12 hours.
Huh?
You're
Yeah,
not making up
okay.
the numbers.
Well then, sir, why don't you give us the proper numbers instead of have me making them up?
Like I told you, it was a hostage situation like in 24. We interrogated one of the staff workers. He was sweating bullets. He was lying half the time because he was given false information. And the mother almost threw her shit. Like I said, it was a normal day in 24.
Well, in other brighter news, aside from his dalliances and one night stand with Carl Urban's,
Sorry, I was just looking at the clock on 24.
And I also got to play Resident Evil and Requiem demos coming out soon, also for PS5, which is also a lot of fun. We don't talk much about horror gaming here because one of our co-hosts is not a gamer. Not going to name names, but I am going to point to this side of the screen and call it a day.
Joke's on you. My boxes are arranged in a different way. So you just pointed at the sidebar.
Well,
So,
on YouTube, jokes
pointing
on
at-
you. I am pointing directly at you on YouTube.
No,
Yeah,
jokes
broadcast.
on you, my friend. And I'm pointing at the screen.
That could be
The
anybody.
screen is in the same direction for all of us. You.
That could be anybody at that point. But
It's
anyways,
true. It's true.
that
It could
was
be the audience.
that is one thing I did want to talk about, though. I think that the Resident Evil Requiem is going to be a lot of fun for any gamers out there. I actually am looking forward to that one. Resident Evil has kind of changed up their style lately. They're more first-person puzzle-style games. That one looks is going to be fun. And Onimusha looks like it's going to be Ghost of Tsushima with demon fighting in it. And you get to play as the legendary swordsman. The fuck was this guy's name? I used to know his name. I almost picked up that book. Not Hanzo. Musashi. Musashi, what was his full name? Musashi.
Mufasa!
There we go. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary swordsman of Japan. That's who you get to play as in Onimusha. So I got to check that out, which was also a lot of fun. And they gave me these nifty little pins to remember the event for free. So I'm like, oh, sweet. Nice. Always enjoy checking out Capcom's games when they're good.
Yeah. If you're a real fan, that's what you should do when you go to these things.
Yes.
Cough. Cough.
Cough, cough. For the other person that accompanied us who may be listening, cough, cough, cough. Didn't remember that. But we know they're probably over there on Battlefield right now, getting killed. That's what they're probably doing. So anyways, that was our time at Comic-Con. We had a lot of fun. I usually recommend anybody who's in the New York area, if you can do it, go. It's one of those times where the city comes alive. People go celebrate nerd culture and they find some interesting things to do. This is the first time I went since I've actually started doing all this stuff, so it was a different experience now. Because once in a blue, people look at you and I think they know who we are sometimes. That's my theory with that Michael Myers guy. I think he knew who we were. And that's why he walked up to us and just stood there for a bit. Because over on TikTok, I do drop clips of being an asshole on Dead by Daylight. So, that was pretty interesting, but fun times. Do you have anything to add of note? I think it was your first time networking, right, dude? At a con?
Yes. I will say, if you're going into network, the best time to do it is on Friday and Saturday afternoons when panels are going on.
Yeah, it was really crowded for on Sunday. Back in the day, Sunday was the empty out day.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore. That wasn't sense. I remember back in the day, Sunday was when it would be the emptiest. Now it's not. Now Comic-Con is full up on Sundays.
And there's no more deals.
No more deals neither. There were some people that are like, oh, come on, they're going to be giving away stuff. Yeah, no, those people looked at us and were like, do you see how crowded it is here? We're definitely going to sell our stuff. Go F yourself. Ever so politely. Ever so not lovingly, they told me to go F myself.
They're looking straight into your eyes and like, we will break your wallet before we break down and give you a cheaper price. Get out of here.
Yep. We will throw it in the trash before we give it to you for free. But yeah, so Comic-Con was a lot of fun. We saw some other folks there just walking around, which are pretty nice. I shouted at a wrestler. That made my day. Fuck.
Did you go to any of those? Did you go to any of those panel interviews?
So we missed. I was gonna do the Queen of the Dead panel, but for some reason my attention just kicked in, and I'm like, I don't feel like being here anymore. And I just kind of stood up and walked out. It was one of those things. I'm like, I don't know why. I don't feel like being here now. So I stood up. I'm like, I grabbed my bags. I'm like, hey, dude, you want to leave? He's like, sure. And we went down to the floor and started just networking a little more. I don't know why. And I was looking forward to that panel too. And then I'm like, I don't know why. I just don't want to be here. I'm just going to leave now.
Yeah. Yeah, we fortunately and unfortunately, did the 4 day, all 4 days straight back to back, and yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. But I will say one panel that I did enjoy was the little short film for the littles. Nice little short horror film, in my opinion.
Yep. They're also remaking Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh
I
yeah,
heard about that. Yeah.
yeah. I was planning to see that one, but yeah, timing was just not
I'll
on
be
our
honest.
side.
I saw the trailer, and I'm not looking forward to Silent Night, Deadly Night remake.
Okay.
Did you guys see the new Halloween trilogy?
I saw the first one, the one that's like Danny McBride, right? Produces
Yeah.
it.
So
Yeah, I saw the first one, and I was just like, just
So I was okay with the first one, and then now they're doing a thing. The guy in the third one, like the way the third one plays out is like they try to say the evil transfers to another person or some shit. What they're trying to do with it. And that guy who was in it, this movie is called Corey Cunningham. I don't know the real actor's name. One day we'll talk about that trilogy because it's essentially the trilogy that caused that witch, Jamie Lee Curtis, enemy of the show, to earn her fucking stripes in the anti. Pretty much people don't like her anymore after the way she was behaving on that movie. Like, I don't like horror movies. I'm too good for them. Watch me in my horrible Disney slop with that crackhead, what's her name? The redhead with the huge boobs. What's her name? Mean Girls.
I touched on that one. Well,
Mean Girls. Freaky Friday. The Parent Trap.
Oh, Lizzie Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, I remember her now.
She's not a redhead.
I don't know.
he is.
Is she a redhead or not? I don't care. All I know is that she was a Botox crackhead-ridden fucking crack nutcase for like 10 years, and then she started doing those Hallmark dick movies on Netflix. You know what I'm talking about? Those Christmas movies where it's about some Midwestern white women getting some dick for the holidays. They're going to have to be infested everywhere.
It's about no. It's about a Manhattan professional woman getting some Midwestern dick.
That's half of them. The other half is some widow finding her groove again in some small town where some loser can't even fucking sell cookies, but for some reason she's gonna go save the business and find the meaning of Christmas with some tinsel twine dick. That's what all those movies are about. Anybody who tells me otherwise, you're full of it. Alright? Those movies are some kind of weird Christmas fetish that goes nuts at that time of year. I got to deal with it in about 2 more weeks because everybody loves to skip Thanksgiving. But yes,
appropriately enough, they are cookie cutter movies.
oh yes, they are. Fuck those movies. Did I tell you guys I hate Hallmark movies? Because I do. They're annoying. But yes. Thank you, chat. Yes, Lindsay Lohan is a natural blonde who dyes her hair orange. But anyways, they're doing this movie with fucking Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Rohan Campbell, who was Corey Cunningham, is going to be Billy. And then for some reason, I'm like, you can't remake that movie. Like, we'll get there at Christmas time, we'll maybe rehash that one. But I'm just going to say it flat out. Like, there's some movies you just can't make again. And Silent Night, Deadly Night is one of them. We're actually going to use that with the theme of today's episode. Because sometimes you can adapt something and it works. And then sometimes you can bring it into a new age and it works. And other times it doesn't. Right? Like, to me, Silent Night, Deadly Night is a sign of the 80s. So, when we get to today's movie, the book, the story, short story, was definitely a sign of the times. Today we're talking about 1999 Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, starring Johnny Depp. God damn, there's too many juggernauts in this movie. And the worst part about it is all the juggernauts have like little cameos and big roles and then little cameos again. Right? You have Christopher Lee as the judge, Martin Landau getting murdered in the beginning. You have What was that guy who played Harry Potter's asshole uncle? What was his real name? He died a couple years ago. I can never remember that actor's name. He had a very unique look to his face. I can never remember that guy's name. But he plays the minister. Well, not the minister. I forgot what his name was.
Wait, you're not talking about...
Richard Griffith.
Richard Griffith was in it.
Okay.
Then you have Michael Gough, who we all know as Alfred. He was in this movie too. Jeffrey Jones has been blacklisted from Hollywood. Christina Ricci, and the list just keeps going. Like, it's so many people that come out in this one. I would be here all night. Oh, and last but not least, I feel so. Christopher Walken as the Hessian himself. Like, almost everybody who was anybody was in that Tim Burton movie this time around.
At least two of these actors have no actual lines. Like Martin Landau, he's just the guy at the beginning in the carriage who, like, he gets to do some of his facial expressions, he gets to do some acting, but he doesn't have any lines. And Christopher Walken has quite a bit of screen time, but he literally just roars. He just goes, ah! 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 Which, I mean, those might be the most quintessential Christopher Walken lines that you could ever write.
Actually, Tim Burton, speaking of Tim Burton, he did give one of the best Christopher Walken performances. He exposed Christopher Walken for what he's famous for, right? Like,
what is Christopher Walken famous for?
He
Besides
has
more cowbell.
Oh, that's another thing Adrian loves to do in Dead by Daylight. Walk around with some tambourine like an asshole, shouting, "More tambourine!"
And you piss me off.
Fucking gets the killer coming our way. Anyways.
Do I need to bring out the tambourine next time we play? I think I will.
You know what? If you pull that fucking tambourine out, I'm hitting record, so everybody can see you be an asshole with your fucking tambourine, attracting the killer our way. Anyways, back to the point. Fucking tambourine or
Do you call yourself Mr. Tambourine Man?
No, he does. And the thing is, there's another thing. I used to be the ukulele man. And he got pissed about that too. So you know what? I'll bring both of those things out on you. I'll bring the whole band together too. I'll petition for it.
The fuck is this, Scooby Doo?
When you bring the ukulele out, you will be Tiny Tim.
Thank you.
Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight.
Don't give him ideas. Actually, no, if you do that, I will fucking turn the stream on and I will start recording myself singing Tiny Tim. I've done it before to piss off my wife. I do not mind doing it to piss you off or playing Dead by Daylight. I don't care if I throw a match. I will do it just for the principle of it. Fuck with me.
All right. No, you fucking with me, I'm fucking with you. Let's go.
Okay, so, this is a side note. But have you ever heard Tiny Tim's cover of Stairway to Heaven?
No, now I'm going to go find that shit. Let's go look for that.
Incredible. So he doesn't usually do like the goofy falsetto with the ukulele shtick that he usually does. He can sing baritone. He's one of those singers that has like a really well-developed falsetto, but his natural singing voice, I think, is like a baritone. So he does like this baritone swing version of Stairway to Heaven. It's a doozy.
I will listen to that off stream so we don't get copyright strike. But speaking of Tiny Tim, you guys do know he is featured.
Recommend it to my co-hosts and our good loyal audience.
I'm gonna listen to that with my wife later because she hates listening to Tiny Tim. It scares her. He scares her with this weird voice. But I love listening to Tiny Tim, especially when it comes time to piss her off. Fun fact.
And especially in the pilot episode of SpongeBob.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is a part of a horror movie franchise for the uninitiated, Tiny Tim.
What?
You ever seen Insidious?
Yeah.
Tiptoe through the window, by the window, and then I'll be in tiptoe through the tulips with me.
Right, so that's the second SpongeBob horror reference that I never got growing up. That you just more or less shattered my mind with.
Oh, tiptoe through the window. That's him. Great movie. We should cover those one day. Those brought back the ghost genre in the 2000s, believe it or not. There was a dormant genre, and those guys resurrected it right back. But speaking
those were the rehearsal for the
Conjuring, but still good films.
But like now that learning more about Ed and Lorraine has kind of ruined the Conjuring movies for me, I like Insidious better now.
Yeah, between me and you, I always kind of liked Insidious just a little better. Like, those Conjuring movies were legit, but I like the Insidious movies a little better by default. So, back to Sleepy Hollow, because although there's a lot of interesting things going on, Sleepy Hollow is still our subject today. And I also wanted to just, like, touch on this one a bit. So, how are we doing this one again? We're going through the film first, or are we going into the legend of the book first? Which is the first course?
I thought we would kind of like bounce back and forth, like as we're talking about the movie, we'd go back to the book.
All right, so I'll put it like this.
Yeah.
As I was saying before, there's some stuff that you can like adapt, and some stuff you can't. The original Sleepy Hollow book is a tough one to adapt to a regular full feature length film. It's a short story. Although it comes in a novel, Washington Irving is the OG Carney. The book, the story of Sleepy Hollow, is located at the end of the book. At least in my edition copy of it. It's not the movie. It's not the one it opens up with. It's all the way at the back. So he wants you to read through everything until you get to the title of the book.
I mean, the scary stuff doesn't happen until the end of the story.
Yeah, and even then, like, the story isn't even that scary until he's getting chased by a ghoul.
Well, so, I mean, in that way, it's hard to adapt because, like, a straightforward retelling, I don't know if that would fill out an hour and a half. You know, it is a short story, and if you just did it straightforward, like, there's not the same sort of, like, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 structure that you would get in a novel that would translate well, or a story, a work of literature that would translate well into a film. It's not so much written as like it's almost written as like a summary of a story than an actual story. I mean, it's great. It's beautiful to read, and the way that he describes the atmosphere, the spooky atmosphere, is really, really effective and beautiful. But there's no dialogue in the story. There's characters, but there's no dialogue. He's summarizing what the characters look like, what their personalities are like. He's telling you who the characters are, but he's not really showing you. And so in that way, I think it's actually a story that begs for adaptation. Because it's a really, really good starting point, I think, for the things that would follow. And also just like the kind of stylistic tropes that it established too.
Yep. This is where I'm actually going to go into it. Like, I've read it once, and it took me a bit of time when I was a kid to do it. I got to get back to reading it again. I tried to read it for this, and it was just a bit, really, I had no time. So, what I enjoyed about it, though, it's like, it felt like I was getting tea or gossip, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it reads almost like local gossip. Like, some dude you walked in, like, how do I explain it? For those of us who have ever lived in a small town, it feels like you moved in and your neighbor's like, oh, you live in that house. That's where that guy used to live. Come over next door tomorrow and I'll tell you a story about him. And then they're telling you about Ichabod Crane and what happened to him. And it's like, whatever you do, although he was liked, don't be like Ichabod Crane. He was chased out of here by a demon. As we believe.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because when you tell, like, if you're in a town and someone tells you the local herb and legend, they don't recite the dialogue that the characters would speak. They tell you, like, the basic plot points of it. They don't go into a whole lot of detail as far as the conversations between the characters goes. So that's really interesting. So in that way, it's written like a legend. And in fact, so at the opening of the story, he says, it's set up as these are from the notes and writings of the historian Diedrich Knickerbocker. And Diedrich Knickerbocker was a character of Washington Irving's invention. He was a fake historian, and in fact, Washington Irving pulled this prank where he was like telling, I think it was he was telling local newspapers that this Dutch historian Diedrich Knickerbocker has gone missing in his hotel room in New York City, and so the papers picked this up. But it was Irving's way of promoting his first novel.
So he was a carny. That's some carny shit.
Oh yes, yeah. Very mischievous. Yeah. So, but he uses that character as saying, like, this is a history of the events in Sleepy Hollow written by this character. Even though the story is credited to Washington Irving.
That explains why there's no lesson at the end of that story.
There is a lesson.
Where's the lesson?
The lesson
is the lesson Fight for the Ones You Love by Dirty Means? Because that's the lesson I could maybe get out of that.
No, the lesson is don't be one of them fucking actually kind of people to your locals. And, people won't bully you out of the town mercilessly. And that's why this story is a warning. Don't be one of those fucking people. And know-it-alls. Just fuck them. I hate them too. I would have bullied. I would have been the guy riding the horse throwing the fucking pumpkin at him. Asshole.
We were assuming he was chased out. That was just a theory. They never found the body.
Well, if they didn't find the body, then, that's another darker warning, isn't it? Just remember you and throw your ass in the Hudson and nobody will know. The water just tastes a little bit like mercury. That's all. That's it. What do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Good luck being an asshole. But yes.
Like, didn't the asshole get away in the end? He ended up marrying the girl.
That's kind of left up. It's left ambiguous as to whether that. Okay. We are leaving our audience in the dark a little bit here. With
yeah, so we're kind of going back and forth here. Let's go back to where we were.
Let's get into the movie and talk about the short story.
Yeah, so we'll actually start a little bit with the history of how this one got made. So back to my original point. This one works because the guy who wrote it essentially turned around and said, you cannot adapt Sleepy Hollow into the originally as it is. So he had a more so creative idea. He said, instead of doing this, we're going to make it a mystery story. And in that time, one thing I will say, colonial era America is a great setting for a mystery. I'm trying to watch my language a little bit. Promise to do better. So anyways, it's a great place for a mystery, and I'll tell you why. There is hierarchy in colonial America. Like, it's there, right?
I mean, this is just post-colonial.
Yeah, like, it's just post, but...
Like, this is a few years after the American Revolution.
Yeah, like, in America as a whole, why I like it for historical setting and for mystery and all that good stuff is because in America, people are all essentially equal despite land and title, right? Like, there is no walls behind the people in these places. So that means that everyone is, although rich and has nicer houses at times, everyone is just as vulnerable as the next guy. There is no protection, like if you were in ancient Victorian in London. It's a different type of vibe. What I enjoyed about this one is the writer turned around and said, we're going to keep everything basic as we can, but we're going to change it just a bit so that there's more story and intrigue and we get to hang out with the townspeople a little more. And we get to see a little more of what goes on in those towns and how all this drama can begin about the stuff that goes on in the town, and how these things can beget a murder most foul. Because in all fairness, if it wasn't for the Horseman, it would have just been a regular slasher mystery. The movie would still be scary as all hell. But because there is a Horseman, it adds this extra element of magic and mystery to it, which I thought, to me, and I'm saying this one on the record, Sleepy Hollow is my favorite Tim Burton movie. And it makes sense because it would be the last hurrah of good movies Tim Burton would release for a long time. Because most of the stuff he comes out with in the mid to late 2000s, I was not a fan of. Willy Wonka I wasn't a fan of. I did not like Alice in Wonderland. I really didn't care for... I did like Sweeney Todd, but it wasn't my favorite movie of all time. But this one was my favorite Tim Burton movie. Like, this is, to me, I wish he was doing more like this. He doesn't. But I wish he did. Like, this is my all-time Tim Burton movie. Like, I would say, you tell me, pick one. I'm not going to pick Edward Scissorhands. I'm not going to pick, God, James and the Giant Peach. I'm not going to pick that. I'm not going to pick Dumbo or any of that shit. I'm going to tell you, go watch Sleepy Hollow. Because that's the only straightforward horror movie that he ever does. And it's a shame because this was my favorite one and I wish he would have done more. Not horror movies that they get, not comedy movies, a horror gimmick, like real horror movies. This is the one. So, we'll start breaking it down, why I like it, and we'll compare and contrast as we go along. Because this was mine. And this is also my favorite Johnny Depp performance, like, in his movies. I feel like all of them are him trying to go back to being Ichabod Crane. You know, like, it feels like he's trying to still be that guy with the quirky tone and trying to have a bass voice at times, but he doesn't always have the voice. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's kind of starts there and he's tried to perfect it over the years.
Yeah, you know, I love how it is kind of this impressionistic interpretation of the original Irving story, because the plot, as far as the plot goes, it has not... It really doesn't follow the plot of the original story at all. Like, the original story, it is a bit of a mystery, but it's not the sort of, like, elaborate Agatha Christie kind of mystery that's set up in this movie. But in the original short story, in the original Washington Irving short story, the environment, the outside environment, the creepy trees, you know, just like the spookiness of the environment is very richly described. And Burton took a hint from Irving and really, really made this into a visual feast. It's just like everybody, whenever you talk to somebody who likes this movie, they always talk about the sets and the visuals and just how much a part of just like how rich a vision the movie is. And he also, the crane, the Ichabod Crane in this movie is very, very different in profession and in some ways in character traits in this movie, but he still feels like the same person. Not to mention, Johnny Depp looks nothing like what Washington Irving originally described Ichabod Crane as. So, yeah, it's this really nice kind of just like, I'm gonna write my own story, and I'm gonna take some hints from the original Irving story.
Yep. And I actually am glad that they went about it that way, though. It works so much better to me, like the fact that they went on a mystery story, because you also get to like Ichabod Crane. Like, we were talking about this a little bit before, but when you boil it down, Ichabod Crane is ultimately not the most likable person in the novel, in the short story.
In the short story, no. I reread it today, and yeah, he is He's a
schmuck.
He's a schmuck. He is a gold digger. He is not. There's not a whole lot that he is not courting Katrina Van Tassel for any of her Well, not primarily for her personality or her kindness or even her beauty and her physical attractiveness. Whenever he's with Katrina, he's very preoccupied with all of the stuff and the money that she comes with. Yeah. Anyway, so let's go into the movie. Unless Adrian, do you have any first impressions, first thoughts, general stuff?
Well, I went to watching this movie without knowing there was a short story version and the differences between it. So what I saw with him, it was just like, he's just a know-all that's getting. It felt like he was getting banished, like whether or not he was seated or not in like solving this like murder mystery is like they just wanted him out of their hair. That way they didn't have to do their jobs properly. So I'm just like, if he makes it out, great. If not, well, he won't be missed. So it felt like a lose-lose situation. So at least that's what I got from his introduction. I didn't warm up to him until like maybe the second dream sequence, and it was just crazy. Those dream sequences did not.
Did you warm up to him or his mother with the huge rack? You gotta pick one.
That's the thing. That's another thing. Like,
yeah, I didn't see her no.
Those dreams.
That's somebody's mother you're talking about there.
You don't care. That had never stopped him before. I couldn't tell if that was true or not because it's like the angles and like the cinematography did not like convey that properly. I'm just like, this add more questions than it answered. I'm just like, I'm just gonna wait till the end.
Yeah, it is a dream sequence, so you do wonder like what's literally true and what's not literally true. But the upshot of it is that his mother was practicing witchcraft, and so his father killed her.
"Quote unquote."
Yeah, I didn't
witchcraft.
get that. I did not get that. I felt like that was the first time I see a movie for the first time. I'm like, oh, I missed something that should have been obvious, but it felt like it wasn't.
You missed it? It's right there. They're telling you she was practicing witchcraft. She's drawing weird big boob pentagrams in the middle of the fucking forest and floating in the air. Using her boobs as fucking hot air balloons. That's what she was doing.
I did not see the pentagrams in the forest. And
I like various melons.
Describe that.
I like various melons.
You just want to use that down cliff.
Thank you, Phil.
But yeah, that's why it was so weird. I felt that was out of place, and especially when you told me like why she made it into the film, the actress herself.
That's not why.
Like why are those dream sequences necessary?
No, he's trying to point out and take this time to point out that Tim Burton could get it back in the day. He still can, and that Tim Burton at the time of that film being made was banging that lady. I forgot her name right now, Ichabod's mother, but yeah, he was banging that lady. She was also Vampira in that other Tim Burton movie. See what this lady's name was. Ed Wood actress. Why is that when you're trying to type up something like your
At first I thought you said Deadwood.
Ed
And
Wood.
like,
She was also
Deadwood crossover. What if Ed Wood directed Deadwood?
Then it wouldn't have gotten 3 seasons.
From the best TV show of all time to the worst TV show of all time.
Oh, Lisa. It would have been the worst TV show. And yes, her name is Lisa Marie. And if that's what she still looks like as per IMDb, damn. Born 1968, you still look like that? Damn.
Focus.
Damn. Alright. Damn. Good for you, Tim Burton. See, fellas, it is possible to lure women to like you that are perfect 10s when you like horror movies and you use them as an example. You know who Tim Burton's banging nowadays?
Yeah. Please enlighten me.
Monica Bellucci.
No, oh my
Monica who?
Oh my god.
Okay, you spoke. Okay, Adrian spoke over you, and at first I thought you said Monica Lewinsky.
No, Monica Bellucci. Monica Bellucci. Not Monica Lewinsky. He didn't look into the camera.
Close but no cigar, right?
Yes.
Almost Monica Lewinsky.
Oh boy, he didn't look into the camera and go, "I
I'm sorry,
did
Monica,
not
you've
have
had
sex
enough
with
of
those
this
women."
method. And she has a sense of humor about it.
Although Lisa
Yeah,
Marie
well,
he asked
pretty
Monica Lewinsky in the movie would have been pretty cool. I would have sided with Bill on that story. Anyways. So, back to the film.
Yeah, and it's doubly impressive because I was watching this interview with Tim Burton talking about Sleepy Hollow from the time that it came out, and I noted, wait a minute, he looks like one of his characters, which actually surprised me. Like, I figured that he wouldn't really that he wouldn't like lean into it that much. I mean, he's not like, wearing white makeup with eyeliner and that kind of thing. He's not going that far into it, but like he has the same hairstyle that Edward Scissorhands has. Like he kind of like messes up his black hair. And in this interview, he said that he wears these zebra striped socks to feel more comfortable. They're like they're like just black and white striped socks. But it was like, that's interesting. He looks like one of his characters. That's funny.
So, you do know that most of the main characters in his films are modeled to look like him, right? They're artistic caricatures of himself. Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice. Well, not Beetlejuice. Lydia Dietz actually is like him as a woman.
He seems to have a kind of a self-deprecating sense of humor. So
Ed Wood is also like modeled a little bit to be like him because he saw himself in Ed Wood. The ones that are not. It's funny, right? The films that weren't as successful are the ones where you can kind of tell that he didn't insert himself in the film much or at all. Like Mars Attacks, there is no Tim Burton allegory in Mars Attacks. There's like one guy, but he's not a very low role. Then there's also in Alice in Wonderland, there's no real Tim Burton allegory. Like you can tell the ones where he is in it and versus the ones he's not. But all the characters are like cartoonish designs of himself. Even Ichabod Crane is like the cartoonish version of Tim Burton. If you look at it closely.
Corpse Bride looks kind of like him.
Mm-hmm. Corpse Bride.
The character looks a little bit more like Johnny Depp, though.
It's designed to look like Johnny Depp.
He does kind of like make. He does kind of like make Johnny Depp look like him. So.
Yeah, like it's all allegorical. Like it's like him, but not really him. You know what I mean? It's like if I made a movie and I wanted myself to look cool and I cast Pedro Pascal in the movie, right? Like I obviously look nothing like Pedro Pascal. But, if I want a movie to make it cinematic and cool, I'm going to go put the coolest guy I can track down. It's how it goes. So, it's funny, though. Like, when you look at it, you start to pay attention, like, oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
But,
so
yes.
Can I go into a little bit of the history of Sleepy Hollow, the place?
Yes, please do, because I still don't know why that town is called Sleepy Hollow, despite the fact that that's not really what it's called, right? It's like Tarrytown, and there's a whole bunch of different names for it.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So, Sleepy Hollow at the time of Irving's writing, the story was published in 1820. So, at the time of Irving's writing, Sleepy Hollow was the name of the Pocantico River Valley, not the name of an established town. The area was a Dutch settlement, so the name comes from the word Slapershaven, which was the Dutch name for the Pocantico River itself. The area wasn't incorporated as Sleepy Hollow as a town until later. But at some point in the 1800s, that area, that river valley, was named North Tarrytown because it's just north of the town of Tarrytown. and it was officially named Sleepy Hollow in 1996. Retroactively, they renamed North Tarrytown Sleepy Hollow to kind of cash in a similar way that Salem has cashed in. Just kind of like exploiting the name name recognition, and why not? Hauntings and a spooky reputation can be very profitable. So there you go. Nowadays, it's decked out with Headless Horseman stuff. I went a couple years ago, and when I went there, I went to a staged reading of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow with people dressed up in costumes with triangular hats, those like colonial triangular hats, and they were using puppets for the characters. And at the end, you got to meet the Headless Horseman. There was a guy with the headless costume that came out riding on a black horse. So, yeah, it was really cool. Everybody should check it out. I think it's the Village. I think it's like the Sleepy Hollow Historical Society or something that puts those on. But that wasn't the first time that I had been to Sleepy Hollow, though. My family and I would go up every Halloween season to drive along Sleepy Hollow Road at night and just, kind of take in the creepiness of the area. And every time we went, we would go to the Horseman Cafe, which is closed now. But it was, kind of a normal diner. But it was called the Horseman Cafe, so why not go? And they had a nice poster for this film in the dining area. So that was a fun time.
That sounds like fun. I've been to Sleep. I was actually not in Sleepy Hollow, but adjacent to Sleepy Hollow this weekend.
Uh-huh.
I visited about 2 or 3 years ago directly. We went to this thing that they host nearby on the Croton-on-Hudson, the Pumpkin Blaze, which, if you're ever in the area, awesome thing to go check out. All these little pumpkin statues built out of real jack-o'-lanterns. Some of them, just assembled to look like it. Really cool stuff. This year they did a Wizard of Oz theme one, which I thought was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
Not scary, but it was neat. Like, I like it when they do more like creepy things on Halloween. Like Wizard of Oz is not scary unless you look at that lady playing the Wicked Witch of the West with the big nail. That's something out of my nightmares.
The flying monkeys. The flying monkeys scared the hell out of me when I was a kid.
You see, I used to have dreams where I was the flying monkeys.
Okay, well.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
Tad, sick and depraved. Anyway.
What? I'm the same person who told you that Tales from the Crypt was my Sesame Street. Why the hell does it shock you that I had a dream as the flying monkey?
Yes, that's a weirder thing from you. That's
I just thought I knew you.
Oh, please. You know I would find it fun to tear apart a scarecrow and kick a robot.
No, we should talk about the Wizard of Oz, because the Wizard of Oz is actually scary in some places.
In the
How
books,
is that
the sequel
scary?
is actually all kinds of fucked up. The sequel
sequel?
for Wizard of Oz with Fairuza Balka's little girl. She's actually like in a nut house or some shit. It's a Disney movie. The Return to Oz, it's like from 80 something. It's fucked up. Like real fucked up. I actually gotta go and watch that one of these days. It's one of the worst sequels of all time. But yeah, it's out there. But back to Wizard of Oz, folks, because Tim Burton is about to remake this movie anyway. That movie too, anyway. That would be funny if he
remake the Wizard of Oz.
Would it surprise you if he did?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he remade Wizard of Oz. I would actually expect it at this point. Johnny Depp as the Tin Man, Johnny Depp as the fucking lion, and Johnny Depp as the scarecrow.
Yeah. He does do a lot of revisiting of familiar territory, like with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Alice in Wonderland.
Sucked.
And I love this though, because this is just like a complete reinterpretation of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, because you have the Disney version, Ichabod and Mr. Toad, which I watched leading up to this. I had never seen it before, but yeah, I just feel like this this story, though, the original Irving story, was really crying out for a Burton interpretation, because Burton is so much about the environment creating the mood. Like, his environments are almost the main character in his movies, but his movies are still very character driven. I think he has this great way of balancing, giving you this really rich world, but also zeroing in on strong characters.
Yep. So, since you touched on it, and we were talking shit about Ichabod before, the best place for me to start here, too, is also with the beginning, when you first meet Ichabod in film.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm actually also going to just touch on this. Tim Burton, he still has a lot of good talent left as a director, because I still approve of his creative process. One of the things that Tim Burton does, which now we're getting a lot of these egotistical fucking screenwriters fighting him on, is he allows actors to more or less adjust and tweak the characters. And why the hell do I see a Yu-Gi-Oh notice? So anyways, as I was saying, he allows the actors to tweak the characters. Even as of recently, there was a controversy a couple years ago with Jenna Ortega on Wednesday, because Jenna Ortega questioned an entire storyline about a love triangle on Wednesday, and he was cool with it. He's like, "That is true," and he nixed the love triangle. He's like, "Yeah, you're right. I don't see why she would have a love triangle."
I mean, the stuff that I was hearing gave me the impression that she was like causing trouble on the set, and people were annoyed that she was.
It's the screenwriters that were pissed off.
It sounds like it was the screenwriters.
The screenwriters were pissed off.
Actually,
were pissed off.
It sounds like the guy who was actually in charge, Tim Burton, was fine with it. So.
Yeah, like he was fine with it, because one thing that I've learned about him is when I was doing a play, and I guess it's a horror thing, you have to be able to project yourself and feel the lines that you're saying. And if you don't feel those lines, it's not gonna work. Like one time when I was in high school doing Dracula, I read the script. I was the only one apparently who had read the script during my break, and one of the lines was like, fucking 15 years ago. He says something like, "Dracula will triumph. Dracula will get you," or something like that. And I'm like, I don't like that line. And the director/teacher was like, "Oh, but you gotta say the line." I'm like, "I'll try, man, but I'm not feeling that line. Like, it seems kind of corny, you know?" It feels like, what am I supposed to be, like Rick James? Mm-hmm. Rick James, bitch! I put my knees on your couch and I do all these things. Like, I don't. It doesn't feel right? So, Tim Burton has always done that. Tim Burton has always allowed his actors to more or less fix, tweak, and alter characters as long as he gives the final say on it. And with Sleepy Hollow, originally Ichabod was written to be more so of this masculine sort of Fabio-esque hero. Like, I'm not saying Fabio, but because even this other guy is not the same way. Hercule Poirot is not a masculine mystery, so he's written to be more masculine. That's the only best way I can put it. Like, he's supposed to be a manly man who goes in to stop the evil and solve the mystery, and he's stoic and everything. And then when when Johnny Depp got there, he looks at the script and he's like, "I know I beat out apparently Brad Pitt, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Liam Neeson to get this part, but why is he so stoic?"
I can't imagine Daniel Day-Lewis doing this part. Daniel Day-Lewis as Ichabod Crane? No.
You know who I could have seen Daniel Day-Lewis?
The only reason that Ichabod Crane would drink someone's milkshake is because of his massive appetite.
Yeah. You know who I would have seen Daniel Day-Lewis being a decent part in this movie? He would have been a decent Masbeth in the very beginning, like the guy who gets his first guy who gets his head cut off.
I was thinking like not Baltus, not Brom. Who would Daniel Day-Lewis play? Maybe a good Masbeth.
Or at best the guy who Richard something Griffiths plays. I forget his name. And we'll get the fat guy who gets his head cut off, has the talisman to protect him from the horsemen. At best.
Oh, Phillips.
Phillips.
The magistrate.
Magistrate Phillips. At best, he would have been a decent Phillips. But
it's interesting. Like, this is filled with a lot of this movie's filled with a lot of characters that can break easily.
Yep.
And Daniel Day-Lewis doesn't play. He plays characters that can break, but he doesn't play characters that are weak.
Yeah.
I don't know. He seems to always play people that don't break because they're frail.
Yeah, I don't know. At best, he also would have been a good cameo for one of the judges in the beginning, but that would have been it.
Yeah.
So, then my thing is Brad Pitt now as Ichabod Crane. I don't see it.
No. Couldn't do
I
it.
don't see Brad. I see Brad Pitt in 1999. He was too high profile, but I would have seen him as Brom. Brad Pitt, Brom Bones, 1999 fits perfect, but he was too high profile at that point. He had already done 7 years in Tibet. He was already considered Oscar contention, even though he never got one. But Seven had also come out, so it would have been interesting, but I don't see him as that.
I learned this the other day. This movie is written by the same guy that wrote Seven.
There we go. So I guess, maybe he had him in mind when he was writing it.
I love Seven.
That's a great one we need to talk about, too.
Yeah.
Because I met Kevin Spacey once. He gave me acting lessons.
Really? What are you telling you?
He told me one thing that I still use to this day. Lean into what you're doing. I was being kind of hesitant when I was doing the scene, and he's like, you seem like you want to do something, but you don't do it. Let's go back again and stop losing the fear to do it and just lose yourself in what you're trying to do. So then when I repeated the scene, I was a little more like, move on. He's like, perfect. You're done. You're good. That's all you need to do. I'm like, I still use to this day. And I forget all the horrible allegations that he had against him. I just try to keep that one good experience I had with Kevin Spacey.
Hey, like, wisdom is wisdom. Just, doesn't really matter who it comes from.
Yeah, I know. It was good. It was good advice, though. Like, he's...
your skill as an actor has nothing to do with whether you're a good person or not. It's just like, it has nothing to do with it.
It's also how
you're in the camp of separate the life from the artist.
It's Absolutely. Not. It's that, and on top of that, like, it shows how good of an actor he was. Like, he kind of hid that from everybody for years in plain sight.
Yeah.
So, but no, it was an interesting thing that he taught me, and like I use that from time to time. So, when it comes back to this, though, like Johnny Depp reads the script, he starts production, and then he's like, I'm not feeling it. And everyone's like, why are you not feeling it? He's like, I'm not feeling it. Like, this guy should be a little more timid. He's supposed to be quirky, weird. He's being sent out here to investigate because he has these odd ideas. Why are we playing him straight? Why are we playing him like, I am the riding hero? Like, he's fighting a demon. Everybody in the town is super scared to go out there with him to face the demon. If he were just like one of them, what makes him different from everybody else in this town? It doesn't. Yeah. Like, he needs to be different.
The strange ideas that Crane has in this adaptation are that he is a very hard-nosed man of science.
Yep.
He's tired of people being convicted of crimes because of a surface level evidence. It's like, if the body is found in the water, that means that the guy drowned. But he's like, no, if I look at the body, I can see if there's water in the lungs to see if he was dead before he went into the water. See, he's the guy that wants to bring law enforcement and crime scene investigation into into the 19th century, because this movie takes place in 1799. So they're about to go into the 19th century, and he wants the police and the investigators to be using up-to-date scientific methods to uncover the truth of crimes. And people are skeptical of it. Like, it's a new way of doing things, and he's trying to push them forward in ways that they find unpleasant, because it's like cutting up bodies. Like, it's what the one guy at the courthouse says, like, are we savages? Yeah. So people aren't totally on board with this, but this is something that's an interesting change from the original short story, because in the original short story, Ichabod, yes, he is a man of higher learning, but he loves ghost stories, he loves tales of the supernatural, and he's totally on board. Like, he believes in all of it. He's very much he's very much taken with the legends of the supernatural. So he's not a hard-nosed skeptic in the original story. And in Burton's version, when he goes to Sleepy Hollow, everybody's telling him, it's this ghost, it's the Headless Horseman. And in the Irving story, like, Ichabod is totally on board with all of the things that he's hearing from the local townspeople and their urban legends. But in Burton's version, he's like, I don't have time for this. I have a crime to solve. And yet he still feels like the same character, because, like you said, he has all of Ichabod's quirks. Yep. He has some of the same some of the same mannerisms that Ichabod has. He has similar contradictions too, because in the Irving story, Ichabod is both very attracted to stories of the supernatural, but he's also jumpy and frightful. So he spends all this time reading Cotton Mather's History of Witchcraft in New England, and then when he has to walk home, he's scared by everything that he hears and sees in the forest walking home. And he loves to take in all of these urban legends from the local townspeople, again, only to be scared as he's walking home. So he is jumpy, and yet he's attracted to the supernatural. And in Burton's, or in Johnny Depp's Crane, he is a crime scene investigator. He's a guy that professionally does autopsies. He professionally cuts bodies open, but he's squeamish. You see how much it grosses him out when he has to just like ask, I need the body. And then when he cuts into it and he finally sees blood, you can see him shudder. So he has some of these same comic contradictions that the original Crane has.
Yep. Actually, since we're going by stuff I like, I also enjoy when you actually meet the town, what do you call these cats? The town founders, the town fathers. Like, they're not really fathers. Say that again?
The elders?
Town elders.
You want to call them the elders? Yeah.
That shot with the town elders is one of my favorite shots in all of cinema. It's like it looked like an actual colonial painting come to life, the way they're all kind of sitting like this in position and pose when the camera focuses in on them. And it's also really cool how the scene is played out, because we're all seeing it from Ichabod Crane's point of view. It's like, you guys seem fishy. This is a little weird. Where you all are just kind of here posing and looking at me. It doesn't look surreal. Like, you guys are almost standing in position, because you all know something went on here you don't want me to know.
It could be a painting called Conspiracy.
It does. It feels like it is like a conspiracy. And ultimately, right, that's what's going on. There is a massive conspiracy all these guys know, and one of them inadvertently gives him the biggest clue to the story. Like, it's not the Bible, it's the family tree inside the Bible that is pretty much the first clue, like, as to what's going on.
Yes.
And who stands to
so
gain.
Ichabod gets into town, and there are these mysterious murders where there is a body found, but the head has been cut clean off.
Oh, can I do this like Christopher Lee? Can I explain it 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 like Christopher Lee? Please, please, please.
You what?
Can I explain it like Christopher Lee did?
Go ahead.
There has been a murder most foul in the settlement north of the Hudson. The heads have been removed from the bodies. We are putting you up to the task, Ichabod Crane. Solve the mystery of the Headless Horseman. I had to do it, sorry.
Will you do this?
Will you do this? This is great.
Yeah.
Oh boy. It's all funny. Like, I love that. Oh, this is like there. One scene, he crushed it.
But the I was wondering if you had anything to say about this, Carlos. The inclusion of Christopher Lee is a clue as to what this movie, the sort of movie that this movie is meant to be a tribute to. The Hammer horror films.
Hammer.
Yep.
Tribute to the Hammer films. Again, I wish he'd have done more Hammer tributes. Like Tim Burton doing a Dracula movie a la Hammer would have been fucking awesome. Especially like this. Would have been awesome. I would love to have seen that. Tim Burton doing a Frankenstein movie like this would have also been awesome. You know, like, there's a lot of cool stuff. Other people have stepped in and done it for him, but I would have loved it had he personally just done it like this. Johnny Depp as Victor Frankenstein would have been a great role to see him do, you know? Like, him as the Frankenstein scientist, not the monster, would have been awesome to see. But, you know, it is what it is. A lot of people don't know there is a Frankenstein Hammer series out there with Peter Cushing as Frankenstein. There's like 7 or 8 of those movies out there. So, if anybody wants to check those out, go ahead and check them out. But yes, Hammer tribute. So, yes, Johnny Depp, Ichabod Crane, solving the murders, going on, missing heads, forensics, continue. Sorry.
Missing heads, yes, yeah. We're already starting to lose our heads.
Oh man, my mom was pissed at that in this movie. She's like, I thought it was a Tim Burton movie. I thought it was going to be childish.
You know what I was pissed at? You know what I was pissed at? Okay, so I'm going to throw some shade at YouTube. Okay, I'm going after YouTube. So they have a free version on there with ads, but it's edited for content. So I watched that one, and I was like, this is less. It had been a few years since I watched it. I was like, this is a lot less gruesome than I remembered. And then when it finally got to that one scene where the witch, who ends up being the villain, sorry, you know, spoilers. If you're listening to this, I'm assuming that you've seen the movie. But when the witch kills her sister, I remember that beheading being on screen because that's really brutal. And then they cut away from it and they show the head rolling on the ground as if it was meant to be cut like that. And I'm like, wait a minute. Then I looked at the disclaimer at front, and it said it's been edited for content. And I'm like, okay, I need to like watch it again. So I rewatched it on their Paramount Plus, and it's like, okay, this is what I remember. This is as brutal as it needs to be. Okay.
Yep, I remember. I actually did see an edited for TV movie of this one time, and I'm like, this sucks.
There's some movies that you really just can't edit for TV.
No.
I'm sorry.
The only one that ever got away with it was Halloween.
Sometimes it does result in some funny things. Okay, so this is where the podcast gets R-rated. Have you ever watched the TV edited version of Scarface?
Yep. He's talking like, how'd you get that scar? Eating pineapple? I'm like, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so on that, but there's at the beginning when he first gets to Miami, and he says, "This town is like a great big pussy, just waiting to get fucked."
Mm-hmm.
In the TV version, they say, "This town is like a great big chicken, just waiting to get plucked."
Yep.
It's brilliant. Whoever came up with that replacement, he should have gotten the Oscar. He should have gotten the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. I think that heavily dubbed versions should count as adapted screenplays, and that guy should have gotten it.
Yep. like the guy whoever edited Shaun of the Dead for TV. There's one scene right where like the roommate is going like, no, it's fucking 4 a.m. Now I gotta go to fucking work in 4 fucking hours. The fucking fucker, my fucking apartment is fucking ill. Now can you see why I'm so fucking angry? Right? Then like they edited it for TV, and he's like, no, it's fucking not. It's fucking 4 in the morning. Like what? He's saying funking. Every funking funker in my funking department is funking ill, and it just sounds so weird. I'm like, it's kind of funny though, weird but funny. Like I get it.
If they added like a slap bass background music, it would be like, you know, funking.
Yep. Or as one of my friends said, sometimes it's funnier when you just bleep it. Like if it's on TV,
Yes,
you just add the
funny.
bleep noises over and over and over again. It sounds a lot funnier because you have to fill in the blanks as to what he's saying.
Or you could do the SpongeBob thing and add a dolphin noise.
By the way, that episode's banned.
What?
You can't watch that
Wait,
episode
what?
on TV. That episode doesn't get aired on TV. You have to like have it on streaming only to get that episode now.
I'm assuming it's on Paramount.
I should be. I have to go check, but yeah, no, you can't.
Bleep it.
You can't pass it on
there's
TV.
episodes of
Sailor Mouth. That's like one of the best SpongeBob episodes of all time, too.
great. It's so good.
That's my
It was
favorite
on when
episode.
we were kids.
It was on when we were kids, and what was funny is my cousin now would just fill in the blanks. We're like, Mr. Krabs is me. We're like, oh, Mr. Krabs is a fucker. Apparently,
Mr. Krabs, how the fuck are you? That's
you know what's funny is
close.
apparently they filmed
wonder-
it with actual
What?
cusses.
They what?
So they recorded that script cussing with cuss words.
That's exactly what I was about to ask. Like, did Tom Kenny ask Mr. Krabs, how the fuck are you?
Yeah, apparently they cussed it the whole time. They were cussing because they tried their best to use like fill-in words, and I think Tom Kenny's like, "Can't we just curse?" And you guys just bleep. We're gonna bleep it out anyway. We might as well just curse as we're saying it. So there's like audio out there somewhere. It's lost media of Tom Kenny going in SpongeBob voice, "Hi, Mr. Krabs. How the fuck are you?" It's like. That's out there.
Now. You need to find that now. It's your mission.
It's lost media. I'd have
I
to
don't care,
fucking.
find it.
I would have to be like George Clooney and Brad Pitt and sneak into the fucking Paramount archives and track it down somewhere. But it's out there somewhere. I think glimpses have been released. I don't think the whole thing has ever been released.
That's great. Well, I'm gonna celebrate by watching that on Paramount Plus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody also mentioned here. Somebody on the other chat mentioned. Oh yes. On TikTok, we got mentioned about an interview with the vampire. Brad Pitt was actually good in Interview with the Vampire at the time when this movie came out, so it would have been interesting to see him as Ichabod. And somebody got fired, but I don't know if I found that chat too late. My bad. I try my best to do the whole chat.
I think it's Tim Burton that said that Johnny Depp has a way of disappearing into a role.
Yes, he
where
does.
It doesn't necessarily need to like be a Johnny role. He'll just like kind of sneak his way into it, such that you forget that it's Johnny Depp. Whereas with Brad Pitt, I feel like you kind of always know that it's Brad Pitt. Like he doesn't really like vanish into a role. He's a good actor. Like I said, I love Seven, so he's a very good actor. But he's not that kind of. I think Tim Burton used the word chameleon.
I'm not gonna praise Johnny Depp after I shat. Brad Pitt after I shat on one of his movies for like a solid 3 hours 2 weeks ago. Brad Pitt was the same guy in fucking World War Z that he has been in Troy, that he was in fucking Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, Ocean 13, F1. Like you name it, Brad Pitt is always, "Hi, I'm Brad Pitt. I'm the same guy." I just have to smile and look around and be cute. And you guys will like me because I'm Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got to sleep with Angelina Jolie when she was still hot and relevant.
Well, and on this, on this, so Johnny Depp wanted to disappear into the role so much that apparently he actually offered to wear prosthetics to make his nose bigger and his ears bigger, because you read the original Irving story, Ichabod is not a looker. He is not a traditionally handsome man. He is extremely tall and gangly with a huge crow-like nose and like elephantine ears and a small head. If you watch actually the Disney film from 1949, Ichabod and Mr. Toad, that's a perfect Ichabod. Like they really did a great job of designing that character to bring to life Irving's Crane. So Johnny Depp like offered to, go into the makeup room and like have them work their magic so that he looked like Ichabod Crane. But Burton apparently refused. But that would have been. But that made me think, you know what? I'm kind of glad that they didn't do that, because whenever like really famous actors do the face prosthetics thing, I'm just like, but that's just not what Bradley Cooper looks like. Like that's just like.
I'll give you a really good one. John Travolta as John Gotti.
Yeah.
John Travolta as John Gotti. And he would have been better off if he just looked dressed like himself. Regular John Travolta would have done a lot better, as opposed to the prosthetics and the makeup they gave him to try to make him look more like John Gotti. It was just awkward looking. And the movie was poorly edited. It's poorly edited. That's actually the fault of that movie. Yeah, everybody did a good job. It's just a poorly edited movie. If it weren't so poorly edited, it would have told a much more coherent story, and people would have enjoyed it. And maybe fix the soundtrack, because for some reason Pitbull does not belong in a Gotti soundtrack, but they let Pitbull cut a track for the Gotti soundtrack. Why?
All right.
It's just
stick with Tony Bennett. Stick with Frank Sinatra. Don't.
Yeah, they tried to make it modern to appeal to those like Italian kids that want to make the mafia look cool, and it's like, you guys do know that that's why Scorsese's the top dog, right? Like he shows the cool side of it. And then 5 seconds later, you're seeing Joe Pesci get whacked mercilessly.
The Sopranos' use of music was effective, because sometimes they would give you music that you would expect, and sometimes they gave you music that you really didn't expect. And The Sopranos, I don't think it has any score at all. I think it's all just like borrowed from elsewhere. And it's the same thing with Goodfellas. That was one of the notes that it took from Goodfellas, is to not have any original music.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yes. So back to this one that did have a decent soundtrack.
Yeah, away from The Sopranos.
Yes. But no, like in all fairness.
Actually, speaking of music, that opening sequence. So right after we meet Ichabod Crane in the courthouse, we're kind of jumping around, but that's okay.
It's all right.
Loosely follow the structure. But that score from Danny Elfman, who is like Tim Burton's go-to, as far as I can tell.
He also wrote the theme for The Simpsons.
Score. And and The Simpsons. It's a really cool score, and it's a really Halloween-y score. Like it's got those bells in there that for some reason I associate with like Halloween horror music. I'm not sure where I get that from. There's probably something that you could trace that back to, but it's a really like heavy, grave score, and it really kind of like turns the drama up. And there are moments in this movie where it seems to be intentionally over dramatic. I think that's part of the tribute to the Hammer horror films, is that sometimes it's like so dramatic and heavy-handed that it's corny, but it seems to be intentionally corny. And I think that just the intensity of Danny Elfman's score in that opening credit sequence really kind of like sets you up to expect, okay, like this is gonna get a little wild. Be ready.
And that's actually what's awesome about it, because this one was wild. This movie, to me, when I was like the kid, fun fact, I actually got to see this in a movie theater that is now gone in Queens. It Used to be the Elmwood Theater over here in Maspeth. It's now the Rock Church. So I was a little kid, and my mom and dad took me to see this. My mom kind of had seen Tim Burton movies before. She liked Beetlejuice. She liked Edward Scissorhands. She thought this was gonna be like that, and then she was pissed off when she was like, that whole movie had heads coming off the entire time.
Look at the rating. Look at the rating, lady.
She didn't check. She's like, he didn't bother to check. My dad's like, it's gonna be cool. You want to see it, right, son? I'm like, yeah, I want to see it. It looks good. Yes, he wants to see it. Let's go see it. And then she walked out. She's like, I got tricked. I thought, like, I've seen rated R movies. I thought it was gonna be cussing. I didn't think it was gonna be that. I'm like, meanwhile, I'm like, that was the best movie ever. I walked out of the theater. Love that movie.
Thanks, Dad.
No nudity.
There was no nudity at all.
My parents didn't want.
So, I saw. He said, "Thanks, Dad."
I'm imitating Carlos. Yeah.
Thanks, Dad. But in all seriousness, right? The interesting thing about this one was it changed the view of colonial times, because this one was most of the time, right? When you're a kid, the colonial stories are very like proper and very genteel. The only other colonial film I had seen up to this point, and I had forgotten it already, was a Daniel Day-Lewis movie of all things, The Crucible.
Crucible, yeah, where he plays John Proctor.
He plays John Proctor. Like, it was something like that, which I had seen in class up to that point. But when I got to see the Legend of Sleepy Hollow on cinema that year, I'm like, oh, this is a lot cooler than I thought it was gonna be. Like, these people are normal. They're not statuesque. They're like regular fucking people. So as time's going by, I actually go back to show people. I'm like, yeah, you see, this is more or less what a Puritan settlement looked like. A lot of folks think Puritans were these kind of conservative weirdos. They weren't. They actually had the most creepy shit going on in colonial America, from witch burnings, witch huntings, burning each other, hurting one another, and then lastly, demons stalking them on the outside. We could do a whole unit on creepy colonial horrors with this and the witch.
So no one was burned at Salem.
No, no one was burned. No, no one was hung at Salem, right? They didn't burn anybody at stake.
Everyone except the guy that got crushed onto the boulders.
Yes.
I forgot what his name was.
I forgot his name too, but I remember his last words were, "More weight."
That's a Braveheart moment.
Oh, wow.
Freedom!
I'm experiencing deja vu.
Did we talk about that before?
No, like it's actual deja vu. Like we've talked about what you just said. Hopefully, this is deja vu. Me looking back on everything being good later. But anyways,
did you participate in the Scottish Revolution?
No.
Well, I don't know what to tell you then.
Uh-oh. But yes. Anyways, back to Sleepy Hollow. We keep leaving Sleepy Hollow, and it's a good story. God damn it. We all have ADHD around here.
Let's talk about the death of Masbeth.
Oh, man. So first off, I was too young to know, but I didn't realize until I was older. That's actually one of the biggest moments in CGI history. That's the first time you actually see a dude ride out like that, to my understanding, in cinema history, where you're using the green screen mask to cover the face as he rides and actually takes out Masbeth, and he chops the head off, right? When the head comes off clean and it rolls, we hadn't seen anything like that so clean in Hollywood before. Normally, right when a head gets chopped off, there's swing to the camera, cut to the head. You cut to the head, you see this hit, pause frame, head pops off really quick. It's a plastic head, and then the guy kind of keeps riding, right? There's a series of shots to kind of cover the effect, right? That's how it had been done up to that point. But in this one, what made it stick out at the time is you see Masbeth running, you see Masbeth turn around, and you actually see the horseman cleanly ride and take the head off. and the head goes right. And it's all done like in a couple of shots, not done in a quick series. It's like quick, and the head rolls off, and the head is still moving as it's coming off, and he picks up the head. You hadn't really seen anything too much like that at that time, which I thought was really fascinating. Like, as a kid, I'm like, oh crap, this is awesome. And then as an adult, I'm like, oh, that's why this was awesome. It wasn't normally a thing. And on top of that, to my understanding, we hadn't really seen the headless horseman actually lob off a head in those years. Like, this is also the first time that would become a thing that we see. Because most of the time, the stories end with Ichabod getting chased, and that's it. You don't really know what else is going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the original story, there is no beheading. It's not even clear if Ichabod dies or not.
No, it's not. Like, we never really get to know.
Yeah. No, but I remember, like, you know, when I would watch this, because I watched it a few times with my dad around Halloween. When I was younger and like first getting introduced to horror movies. But I remember like this being like probably the darkest movie that I had seen. Yeah, like just like the darkest, most brutally violent horror movie that I had ever seen. Because again, like the beheadings take place on screen.
Yeah, they're on screen and they're also clean.
Yeah, and these are the ones that are happening without any blood, or because supposedly in hell the horseman's sword gets so hot that it just closes up all of the veins right away, and there's no scorching, there's hardly any bleeding. So yeah, it's actually a really bizarre thing to see on screen, a head being lobbed off without any blood.
No, also a fun story too. This movie was also one of my first introductions to forensics when I was a kid.
Yep.
Because when he gets there, he's like, "You must never move the body." Why not? Because.
Why not? Because. Yeah, and he just like doesn't have the confidence to really tell him why.
So what's funny is
It's weird. Like, he was right. You should just follow up with anything. It could be true, it could be false.
he's
Like,
also
he
he's talking in an era before criminal theory is publicly accepted. So like, although in Europe they were already doing it, we weren't doing that here in the States just yet. But the funny thing was, I remember when I was a kid, I actually did ask one of my teachers, I'm like, hey, yeah, why don't you move the body? My teacher's like, you saw Sleepy Hollow? Like, yeah, why don't you move the body? So the teacher goes like, okay, well, education is education. So he's like, imagine somebody gets shot, right? I'm like, okay. So, bang! Right? Yeah. You went back. That means the bullet most likely came from the front. That tells us where the person was, because you went back like this. So in that scene, the guy falls forward. That means that he was running away. He wasn't shooting back. He wasn't in defense. That means this guy was killed in cold blood. Get it? He couldn't defend himself.
The body, when you move the body, all of the evidence of what happened before the body was found.
Yeah.
That's all. That all vanishes.
Yeah, it all vanishes. Like, you need to leave the body up. So he's like, you can't. If he fell and he went forward, then at least we know he was running away and he cut the head from behind. So that means that this guy is pretty much moving at a speed that he can cut the head off in one go. But if you leave it the way it was, that's it. It's over. We don't know.
Yeah.
So
and now, like, you know, not only do you not tinker with the crime scene, you want as few people at the as few people going through the crime scene as possible, because you can influence the crime scene in ways that you don't even realize.
Yeah, like, believe it or not, in Europe at least, when CSI which don't exist. There is no such thing as CSI. My forensics teachers and professors have all said this before. CSI, the TV show, is bullshit. CSI, the movie, CSI does not exist. It's not a real organization. Policemen are just general forensics analysts when they show up to a crime scene. This was for you, Miss Stone. This is for you, Professor Brooks. Fuck CSI. You guys have caused more people to get off on murder than is worth for human society. You're parasites. Fuck you. Anyways, fuck CSI. Add them to the list.
Oh my goodness. No.
Add CS.
So we're past adding people. We're past adding organizations. We're like adding concepts.
We're adding the TV show franchise of CI to the list. CSI to the list. Fuck CSI.
The television show.
There's a whole team. There's like 3 of those fucking shows. Fuck the one with David Caruso, that fat guy from Manhunt, and Gary Sinise from the New York one. All 3 of them, fuck off. There you go. Add them to the list.
Here goes nothing.
They have stunted justice and the fucking growth of American forensic science. Fuck them. Add them to the list. We'll recap this one at the end of the year. Fuck CSI.
Yeah, yes. CSI. All right, CSI franchise. Got it.
Yeah,
the entire franchise and all those involved.
If my wife didn't like NCIS so much, I'd probably throw the book at them too. But she likes NCIS. And I know a dude who knows a dude on that show. So I'm going to be nice. Fuck, it's CSI. I said it.
He's going right below Paul Blart.
Yes. Fuck him too. I hate those movies and they shouldn't have gotten a sequel. Fucking CSI. Fucking David Caruso, ugly motherfucker. Anyways, back to where we were.
Anyway, yes.
So, anyways, that's one of those things that I actually did. That was like my intro, and it's like funny when I saw it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's where I learned that from. You're not supposed to move the body. And then when he reenacts it, I'm like, oh yeah, I used to know how to do that as a kid. You read the tracks. You can kind of tell when you look at the tracks. You reenact the scene. He goes back. He's like, he galloped, turned around, and then back for the head. But he's like, what's weird is he did it in one shot. He shouldn't have been able to do it in one shot. And when he actually looks at the body, he's like, this is done cleanly, but there's no blistering, no burn marks, no scorching. It's like right off. That is so strange. Then you get to see inside his weird glasses, the weird sort of thing he has on his face as he's putting it on, and everyone's looking at him all funny.
That's the most explicitly Tim Burton-y thing in this movie is besides like the creepy bendy trees, it's Crane's gadgets. That's when it starts to really feel like a Tim Burton world.
Yep. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab something. Oh boy.
Be safe. So rude. Just leaves in the middle of a live session.
Really?
A loud door creaking.
At least have the courtesy to.
Sorry, I had to go grab a drink.
We were saying at least have the courtesy to move your creaking door slowly.
That's not. Look, man, my creaking door cannot be fixed. I have hit it with WD-40 and a tap and die, and it doesn't work.
That's why Vincent Price and Hank Hill don't get along, because Hank Hill ruined Vincent Price's creaky door.
Well, Hank Hill is the type of person I hated as a child, and since we're revisiting 1999, I just have to say, he's not going on the enemies list, but fuck Hank Hill. He tried to get my video games canceled when I was a kid. Fuck him.
Why's that fella on the horse got a pumpkin?
Because he's cool, unlike you, Mr. Hank. Fuck you. I would have been that kid. That guy's like worst neighbor.
Hank, it's all about the inheritance. There was a secret marriage, Hank.
Oh man, that actually wanted me to bring up that scene too, where he's writing the scribbling on the notes and shit. So that actually is a thing a lot of law enforcement does, right? They'll scribble notes, and then when you look at it out of context, it looks funky because they're just scribbling wherever on the paper. So he writes down the plot. We'll start making a list of every citizen. Baltus Van Tassel. Then he's like, but what is the secret that unites them? So when you look at the way he writes it, the secret plot leads to Baltus Van Tassel.
And Katrina sees that, and then eventually, they go and confront the notary.
How many people didn't realize that was Alfred?
I realize that.
You didn't realize
Alfred
that?
from the Tim Burton Batman movies,
Yeah,
right?
that's him.
Okay.
That's why I didn't.
I actually haven't seen those, so I didn't know, but
What?
I haven't seen them. Am I off the podcast now? Yeah.
I should fire you like another 90s travesty right now. Just like how our president used to fire people on TV back in the day. Just like that. Let him see if he can sue me. That'd be funny if he did. Fucking. You're fired. Just like that. I should, but it's fine. Anyways, back to it though. Yes, that's Alfred, but I also wanted to bring up the other scene too that I wanted to talk about. My favorite sequence in this is when they go after the midwife, where the family of the Gingers.
Yes.
That was actually my favorite scene in this film, in this whole film. Like, they go after the Gingers, right? Because you get a lot of things like kind of click in that movie, in that moment. From you actually see the horsemen in clear light for the first time. There, you actually see the CGI magic action like going when he's actually like sword fighting with the horsemen, and he loses that fight. And this is also where you see Brom Bones throw down with the horsemen, and you kind of get the idea that although this thing might be targeting folks, what's cool is it still likes a fight.
It's still at least willing to defend itself. So it's a bit like it's a bit like maybe like a grizzly bear. It's not gonna hunt you, but if you F with it, it's gonna throw you. It's gonna chase you away. It's gonna do what it needs to do to get you to stop, and then when it's finally had it, it'll kill you. So.
Yeah, but what was cool about that one though is he managed to get away, and they retreated, and he still went back to finish off Brom Bones. But he's like, nah, bitch, you started this fight. I'm going to finish it. This isn't over yet. I was going to leave, and you started this one. I'm not done with you yet. And he went back, and he, like, cut him in half.
He cuts him in half, yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Depp got it easy. He just got stabbed in the shoulder, like, you stay on the ground right over there.
This doesn't concern you. Nerd. And he threw him to the side. This doesn't concern you, nerd. Between me and this asshole, you started it.
Yeah. But he got the kind of wound where it benefits you that it didn't close up, or that it closed up right. It closed up right away. He still got a fever, but that's the kind of wound from the Headless Horseman that you survive. The one that Brom got.
No. So
he got turkey sandwich.
So fun fact, that dude I would never see again in theaters after this movie. The guy who played Brom Bones. Casper Van Dien, which is ironically is his name fits to be in so many ghost movies, and we never see him again. Right? Like he's like.
Well, that's funny. He's doubly qualified because he has the name of his first name is a ghost, and I'm assuming his last name is Dutch.
I think he is Dutch.
I would think
And
so. Yeah.
fun-
So
Funny story though. I found out why we never saw that guy again. So not too long after this movie, he married a princess. Like he had an actual like Princess Diaries type thing go down after this movie wrapped. Like apparently he met some Estonian princess or something, and he's like set for life. But yeah, so he did that. They're divorced, but they had kids, and he's like living the dream somewhere else. And I'm just sitting there going, yeah, I have a big old bucket of hate for you because, you know, I hoped you'd be washed up, but now I find out you do shitty TV movies because you're bored at home. I hate you, Casper Van Dien. Good for you. 56 years old, you look like you're 30. That's just me drinking the... Hold on. Watch as I drink the haterade. Ugh, fucking haterade. Anyways, at least I'm drinking it for me and you, Adrian. We both know that we're on the haterade wagon for this one. Oh, man.
Your man's royalty, you get no sympathy from me.
Yeah, he's in Wednesday now. The show, like, he was apparently in Wednesday.
oh, that's good.
Yeah, so he's still acting. It's just like he doesn't need
Are
to.
you still working with Tim Burton?
Yeah, after doing a bunch of shitty straight-to-TV movies, yeah, he started going back to working with Tim Burton. He was apparently in the lead-up Battle Angel, too, a couple years ago.
Yeah. So, and he's a relatively minor character in this movie. Like, he is... And this is one of the differences between the short story and this movie, is in this movie we start out with Brom and Katrina as engaged. But in the short story, Katrina's up for grabs, and it's a battle between Brom and Ichabod as to who gets her hand.
Was she engaged? I thought they were being set up, but they weren't officially engaged.
They never use the term engaged, but when he dies, Crane expresses his sympathies to Katrina, and she says, "I've shed my tears for Brom," and so I thought that meant that they were, they were set up somehow. Call it engaged, maybe, but they never used that word as far as I remember.
Yeah, so I understand, like, they weren't dating, but they were, like, there was an interest there because it's a small town, and, it's as best as she can do.
Mm-hmm.
Small town, like, what else am I going to get? There's not much pickings, and it's cousins and family, you know what I mean? Brom may be, like, the one dude she's not officially related to. So
officially.
Can we talk about some of the humor in the movie? Because I think that this movie it's a funny movie. Like, it's not a screwball comedy, and I don't know if I would even call it a horror comedy, but it's a movie that does humor well, and it's often kind of making fun of itself too. Like, it's doing back to it being a tribute to Hammer horror films. It is often deliberately cheesy to comic effect.
So, the funniest scene to me, you guys are going to think I'm a dick when I say it, but I thought this scene was funny, was when they killed Constable Phillips.
Yes.
Like, that whole sequence was funny. Like, from their conversation all the way until he gets killed, I thought the whole thing was funny. He's like, what is it? He's like, what is that thing you're carrying? He's like, it's my talisman. It protects me from the horsemen. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? Talisman? He's like, dressed, he's like roasting him. Like, why the hell are you doing the talisman?
Says, and this is the last skeptical line that Ichabod gets to utter. He says, there is no horseman. There never was a horseman. There never will be a horseman. And then the horseman shows up, and the horseman rides by and chops off Philip's head, which spins around on top of its on top of the neck that it recently departed from, and then it falls off and it rolls
right
between
into his legs.
Apparently, there was a lot of time on set spent trying to get heads to roll into the right place. Like they spent a lot of the crew people spent a lot of time just waiting around, like with I think it was Tim Burton that was doing it, like trying to get the head to roll into the right spot.
Yep, that's where you need someone who knows their physics, right? You show up and be like, push it from this angle, you'll get it right. I'm not even about to lie and pretend like I know physics formula. I dated a girl who knew physics, and that was as close as I ever got.
Yeah, I would say I need someone that's an expert in severed heads, but I don't want to be the one to look for that person. So I'm gonna get a PA to do that for me. Anyway, but yeah, that's and then the next scene after that, where he's cowering in bed behind the blanket, and Katrina and Baltus walking, and he looks out from behind the blanket, and he goes, "It was a headless horseman." Yes,
that's why you're here.
It was a headless horseman. Yes, we know. No. You do not know because you were not there. It was a horseman, headless.
Dead one. I saw it. He's like, that's why you're here. Dead one. I saw it. You know what it is too, though? Like,
it's all true.
That's why we brought you here, says Dumbledore.
That's why we brought you here.
What I thought was funny about that one too is like in the next scene too, he has this nightmare with his big boob mother, like getting tortured by his weird conservative dad, and then later.
Like, with a name for her, so we don't have to identify her by her breasts.
Lady
Boobs. No.
No,
Lady Boobs. Got you. That's her name. Lady Boobs.
Lady Crane.
Lady Boobs. That's what we're calling her. Lady Boobs.
Oh my.
I stand by the term Lady Boobs.
I don't.
I do. So when he's watching Lady Boobs get killed or whatever, like he has this dream, and then he comes down, and after he comes down, he's like, "I am reinvigorated and ready to go for a hunt for the horseman.
Yes.
Who's with me?" And everyone's just kind of there. Like 2 minutes before this, they're talking shit about him, that he went crazy, he wasn't up to snuff, etc. He comes down invigorated to go for the hunt, and no one goes with him. They just let him march off by himself with the kid into the woods to go track this down, even though this is their town and it is, in fact, their problem. That was, again, right, one of the first things I saw as a little kid. The people who talk the most shit tend to be the biggest cowards in the face of the planet. Because everyone there in that room is trying to seem mightier than he is. But they don't have the nuts to go into the forest with him to round up a posse and go figure out what's going on. That's what he was doing. He was rounding up a posse. Let's go now into the woods. We can go figure this out because it is a thing that has flesh and bone. We'll find out what it is. Like, this thing has to be moving.
The only person that says yes are the kid and the girl.
The kid, yeah, and honestly...
just the kid. The girl invited herself without even acting.
True.
She just said, I'm here now.
So, this is what I thought was pretty funny, right? The kid's the only one who in front of the group of all of the men goes, "Me?" Like, I'll go. But at the end of the day, I'm sitting there, I'm like, so y'all were calling him crazy and now none of you want to go. Cowards. Lame asses. Like, But,
So then after that, it's young Masbeth, the son of the fourth victim. The fourth victim, because you've got the two Van Garretts, you've got the widow, and then you've got the first Masbeth, or you've got the elder Masbeth. So the son of the fourth victim, he volunteers himself into Crane's service to help with the investigation. So Crane and the young Masbeth go out into the West Woods to see what they can find. And what they come across is also a pretty funny scene. As they find this, mysterious old
Oh God, yeah.
Tapley Place. Then they walk in, and they find who lives there is like a very caricatured witch, and so there's like all these creepy charms and stuff inside. And Crane walks in and says, "I make no assumption as to your occupation." I love that line. And then she shoos the kid out of the place, telling him basically like something's gonna go down. So she brings Crane back, and she does this horrible spell where she cuts the head off of a bat, and she's putting together all these potions. Again, in a very kind of like hokey, overly dramatic and stereotypical scene. Again, like, kind of harkening back to those cheesy Hammer horror films. And then Ichabod Crane sees her true face as she, because she's veiled for the first part of the scene. But then when Ichabod looks beneath the veil, she turns into this kind of, monster with eyes that poke out and a long tongue that sticks out. And she tells him to go to the Tree of the Dead, and that's where he'll find his next clue in the investigation.
So, to my understanding, that's a nod to Evil Dead.
Oh, right. Yes. It's also kind of a nod to the short story, because there's a tree called Andre's Tree, something like that. But it's in reference to this person that was hanged from a particular tree in Sleepy Hollow. And supposedly a lot of spectral activity goes on around that tree. So in the original Legend of Sleepy Hollow, there is a tree that's the locus of spiritual activity. So I think that maybe that's something else that's a nod to the original short story. But when here, let me look up the exact line. Yes, but when Crane comes out of the witch's den, the witch's domicile, and he tells the young Masbeth, "We take the Indian trail to the tree of the dead." And young Masbeth says, "How will we recognize it?" And Crane goes, "Without difficulty, I rather fear." So that I see as a nice little moment where the movie is making fun of itself a little bit, because everything that's scary in this movie looks really, really scary. It's like it's like a lot of it is caricatured scary. So that's Crane basically saying, like, look, it's gonna look like a scary tree. We're gonna know it when we see it.
Yeah. The Tree of the Dead. Oh, for some reason I feel like we're gonna know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be obvious when you see it.
It's like, look, we're in this movie. What do you think it's gonna look like?
It'll look like shit when we get there. Trust me, we'll know.
Yeah. But I do like these. The movie, it just has such a great way of being both scary and a little corny and funny. That's just There's earlier in the movie, there's the scene where you've got Katrina is showing Crane the cottage that she and her family first lived in when they came to Sleepy Hollow, and the Van Garretts put them up on their land. And when she's showing him that, there's a cardinal in the tree above, and the cardinal is a recurring symbol in the movie. He has a cardinal at his residence in New York City. His mother gives him one of those spinning pictures where on one side you've got a bird, on the other side you've got an empty cage, and when you spin it around, the images blend together in your mind, such that it looks like the bird is inside the cage. But in that scene where you've got a cardinal that appears at the old cottage, the cardinal is very, very obviously fake. Like, you only see it for a second, but it's a really, like, corny looking animatronic cardinal where the bird is just still, but the tail moves up in this really, really fake looking way. And that's another, that like, I think that's meant to kind of punctuate a little bit of cheesiness in that scene, because it's one of their love scenes where the lines sound kind of cliche and sound a little bit overwrought, like nobody actually talks that way. So I thought that was another funny little, just like a funny little image to punctuate the cheesiness.
No, I thought that was funny. I thought that was cool too. But one thing also, back to the witch in the cave. The first time I saw this movie, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Take the dirt to the horseman's bitch when you'll find the witch of the dead. Or something. I'm like, what the hell? When did I walk into Evil Dead? But one other thing I did actually want to bring up too. It was actually pretty interesting that the origin they used for the Horseman was actually based on a true story. I didn't know that up until recently, that it was actually... Are
you talking about the Irving story or
the movie? I don't think Irving ever said or gave a real story. It's like
there's a few different possibilities. It could have been that he just got it from Dutch and Celtic legends or German and English folklore. It could have been based on this one story that I think it was a personal friend of his wrote a poem with a similar character to the Headless Horseman. Like Irving probably based it on probably based it on folklore that he heard around town when he lived.
So my thing is,
when he lived in the Terrytown area.
Did they give a full explanation in the short story? Did they give an origin of the Horseman in the story? No. They don't, right? They just say there's something out there in the woods.
It's written as an original character. It's written as an original short story. But like every idea comes from somewhere else.
Yes, but in the story, I mean, as you're hearing it, they don't say what it could have been, right? Like they don't say, "Oh yes, someone died."
No. So in the original short story, it says that it was a Hessian soldier whose head was taken off by a cannonball.
Oh, so that's the real one.
Yes, and he rides out each night looking for his head.
Yeah, because that's a true story. There was actually a Hessian whose head got lopped off by a cannon fire during the Revolutionary War in the Battle of White Plains. Like, that was actually a thing that happened. So I thought it was interesting, more or less, there is a Hessian who is beheaded, and that's the one who's haunting the forest. I thought that was actually a pretty cool gimmick to it.
Yeah, in the short story, the Battle of White Plains is mentioned, but not in reference to the battle that the Hessian was beheaded in. That's an unnamed battle.
I thought it was no. Yes, in real life, that's what happened.
So supposedly that actually did happen at the Battle of White Plains.
Yeah,
it was someone whose head was taken off by a cannonball.
When I saw that the first time, I had Bart Simpson reaction. I was like, cool. I imagined it for some reason, then I had like the Bart Simpson reaction. Cool.
Cool, man.
Cool. This guy has cut his head cut off. But yeah, no, I thought that when I was doing research for this episode, I'm like, oh, that's actually interesting. So there was something to this story about this dude like actually being really beheaded. So interesting.
Yeah.
Then
and they keep him as a Hessian in the movie, but they make him into a particularly sinister person. He wasn't. This Hessian wasn't serving the British Army for money. He was serving the British Army because he just liked to cut people's heads off.
Yep.
He
loved killing. He didn't care who got in his way.
Yeah.
One of the things, though, that I always was interested in figuring out, this is a theory also among the fans. Who do you guys think hunted him down in the book? One of the
Right.
theories I always heard is Brahm. Brahm
It's
Bone.
heavily
Yeah.
implied that it's Brahms. See, okay, so I have a copy of the short story with me at this moment, right here, and I actually got this in Sleepy Hollow.
I have you beat too.
Nice.
Check mine out.
Yeah,
I have it.
yeah. Let me just whip this out.
Right.
Uh,
Here too. Stupid book.
Excellent. Oh, that's a big one. Is that that's more than just the short story? What
Yeah,
else is
it's
in there?
The rest of his book. The rest of his other stories.
Oh, is that the sketchbook?
No, it's yes, the sketchbook.
Okay, cool. Because that's the one that has Rip Van Winkle in it as well.
Rip Van Winkle. And then that's why I said it's kind of carny as shit because the last story at the end of the book is the Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Right. Yeah.
At the very end of the book. So
Yeah. So the short story was originally published in a larger volume that had other stories and I think maybe some essays in it as well. But that was called the sketchbook.
yeah.
Anyway, so this is at the very end of this is at the very end of the story, like the second to last paragraph. It's yes. So people are speculating as to there's rumors going around as to what happened to Ichabod, and someone thinks that they saw him in New York City working as a lawyer, and then he got elected to office. You know, who knows what happened to him. Some people prefer the explanation that he was whisked away by the Headless Horseman. But amidst all of these rumors, quote, Brom Bones, too, who shortly after his rival's disappearance conducted the blooming Katrina in triumph to the altar, was observed to look exceedingly knowing whenever the story of Ichabod was related, and always burst into a hearty laugh at the mention of the pumpkin, which led some to suspect that he knew more about the matter than he chose to tell.
Then yeah.
So what happens in the story is that Ichabod gets chased down by the Headless Horseman, and he sees what appears to be the horseman hurling his head at Ichabod. It strikes him. It strikes Ichabod, knocks him off his horse, and then the horseman disappears. But what they find at that scene the next day is a broken pumpkin. So the implication is that it must have been Brahm on the horse, and Ichabod's mind was playing tricks on him, and he thought that he saw the Hessian's head being hurled at him when it was really just a pumpkin. And what the Disney film does with that is it makes it into an actual pumpkin, a flaming jack-o'-lantern to be specific. And there's a tribute to that in the Tim Burton movie where the prank Headless Horseman, the fake Headless Horseman, hurls a flaming jack-o'-lantern at Ichabod in what's basically an identical shot to the animated movie. Also, we can't end this episode without me mentioning this. The Wishbone adaptation does the same thing with with what the Headless Horseman throws at Ichabod being a flaming jack-o'-lantern. I have watched that most Halloweens of my life. There may have been a few years that I missed it, but every year I try to watch The Wishbone Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I love it. It's great. You should watch it. It's on YouTube. I don't think you can get it on DVD or anything, or even on streaming.
Let us find this interesting Wishbone episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you guys familiar with Wishbone? Did you watch it when you were kids?
Look, man, I knew about Wishbone, and then one time I used Wishbone as a reference when I was in the 4th grade, and the teacher looked at me like I was special, and then I never went back.
Sounds about right.
You lied to me, Wishbone.
What about you, Adrian?
Nope, never heard of it.
The talking
Never heard
dog.
of Wishbone? Okay, all right. So Wishbone, very very weird concept for a show. So Wishbone was a show where they would take a classic piece of literature, like Pride and Prejudice, Legend of Sleepy Hollow, something like that, and they would do one. They would do a pretty straight adaptation of that story in one part of the show, and it would switch back to the different part of the show that takes place in Wishbone's world. So Wishbone is a Jack Russell Terrier, and Wishbone lives with his human Joe, and each episode has a story where it's about Joe and Wishbone and Joe's friends that mirrors the piece of classic literature that is being told in the other part of the show. So, and the thing that makes the show even stranger is that Wishbone, the dog, is in both parts of the show. So Wishbone is playing himself in the parts of the show where he's with his master Joe and his friends, and he's also playing the main character in costume in the part of the show that's a straight adaptation of the piece of literature.
So wait a minute.
In the Legend of Sleepy Hollow episode, the part that takes place in Wishbone's world is about a Halloween scavenger hunt, and Wishbone going with Joe and his friends on a Halloween scavenger hunt. And in the part of the show that's a straight adaptation, Wishbone, who again is a Jack Russell Terrier, plays Ichabod Crane.
I got a question then. Do they show the Headless Horseman killing Wishbone?
No. Again, in the original, it stays pretty true to the original Irving story, in that it's ambiguous as to what happens to Ichabod.
So it's ambiguous what happens to Wishbone, so I can imply in my own mind that, he was either killed by a bunch of jealous, drunken rednecks, or that he was killed by the Headless Horseman, or that he got scared and fled town, but at the end of the day, they pick on Wishbone and get him out of there. Alright, cool, I'm going to watch this now. And fill in the blanks like everybody did for that Sopranos ending. 100%. Let's do this. Don't stop believing.
You can blame the cut to black in The Sopranos on Washington Irving.
Damn straight. Now I'm gonna. But yes. There is one thing I actually wanted to mention in this one, which, again, right, doesn't really come out too much. I hate yawning. It's like the most stupid thing the human body does. Yawning.
It's also contagious.
Yeah, I know.
And it's about that time.
So, one of the things that I wanted to point out that I thought was pretty cool was the fact that Christina Ricci was like only 19 when this movie came out. And she was pretty much holding her own for the majority of this movie against a lot of titans. But what I thought was pretty cool was, if you pay close attention, right, these two are having a romantic relationship, but it's pretty PG the majority of the time the movie's taking place, if you guys noticed. Right? Like, he doesn't really ever touch, kiss, or anything like that. The one kiss that has very, like, light, peckish, and that's about it. Like, Johnny Depp, to my understanding, and so did Tim Burton, were very keen on, I'm not touching an 18-year-old dude. That is not cool.
Yeah.
But what's also interesting is their romance comes off very cleanly on screen. You can tell they're both very much interested and affectionate for one another. But they don't have to go too far. And one other thing I also wanted to bring up, which was about Ichabod, which I wanted to ask you guys. Given my history, right, where I've worked with criminals and worked around criminal justice, stuff like that, have you guys ever found yourselves in a situation where you're beaten down by logic? Like, you just cannot deny what's in front of you with all the clues and everything, right? I was wondering if that's like one question I had for either of you, because there's a scene where she's like, you know, you're bewitched by logic, and he looks at the kid and he's like, and I'm beaten down by it.
Yes.
Like, I cannot deny the findings, and he wasn't wrong with his findings. He was just off by one more degree. He was 99% of the way there. He was just missed. He was missing the piece, missing the clue. Then he just let it
was given
go.
to him. You know, it was given to him in the beginning. Like, had he just read that, then he would have not, alienated his love interests.
Actually, the thing was, the stepmom never announces that she knows how to do magic. She never says it. So she does stand to benefit, and she faked her death. So it's like, who else, right? And he's like, it's obvious Katrina stands to benefit from all of this, being she's the sole heir to all these lands. But when they talk to him, and it's a question that I've actually been there myself, like sometimes you see stuff or you experience things and you don't want to believe it, right? Like you really don't. Like you don't want to accept that these things are going to happen. But then because logic beats you, there's nothing you can do. Like logic defeats you. You can't go against your logical instinct, right? Like the evidence is there in front of you. How is it that you're going to argue with the evidence in front of you when it's looking at you right in the face, right? It would just be denial. And I was wondering if you guys ever experienced, don't tell me your story, like if you ever experienced anything like that though. Like I thought that was a very relatable moment where like if I could be wrong about this dude, I would love to be wrong. Unfortunately, everything is right here in front of me telling me no. All roads point that this house is the source of the issue, and my prime suspect just died, putting prime suspect number 2 as somebody I really don't want to be responsible for dealing with.
Yeah, and it's not the it's not the only time that Ichabod has to face up to a hard truth. I mean, when he finally realizes what happened to his mother, that's another time when he when he realizes, like, I wish that I didn't have to reach this conclusion, but I have to.
So
there's this knowledge that I wish I didn't have.
Yeah, and actually that is something that I wanted to bring up too. What I found interesting about the mom sequences, right? When you see Lady Boobs raising him and playing with him as a kid and all that stuff, is that it's also meant to tell you as the audience, hey, this guy has encountered the paranormal before. He's seen people floating. That's why he's more or less, mentally equipped to see this. It just freaks him out because it's a shock to the system, right? At first, to see the Headless Horseman galloping around. But then once he kind of comes to his senses, it's like, all right, yeah, it's true. I can get away. Like, this is something that is, there's a way to stop all this. You just have to figure it out. But that's a small detail I just thought was an interesting one to point out.
Yeah, in that same scene where he's talking about how he finally realizes what happened to his mother, he's saying that, I wish that I hadn't come to Sleepy Hollow where my confidence in pure reason and science, and he says cause and consequence. I wish that my conviction in those principles hadn't been shaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, and I've said this before on the podcast, that I think that it's really effective in horror movies where the horror is in the realization of something. It's not in something that you, it's when you come to a conclusion that you find. It's when a character comes to a conclusion that they find horrifying.
Yeah.
The moment where he thinks that it was probably Katrina that did all of this. That's not necessarily scary, but it is still a similar thing where he's reaching an undeniable conclusion and he's coming into knowledge that he wish he didn't have.
Yeah. And it sucks when sometimes you're like, man, I really, really don't want you to be the one, but unfortunately, it is you. And there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah. Like, you don't want that person to be guilty, and people are like, well, then maybe it's not them. Like, they're red-handed, man. Like, what can you do, right?
So,
you have to stand by your conviction.
This wrestling with reason and superstition that is that you find in this movie. I think that maybe the writer got this from some real Irving quotes that are outside of the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. These are from essays that he wrote, or parts of his collections of writings. So this one, if you don't mind me reading some quotes.
Go for it.
All right, so this one is from looks like an essay. I regrettably did not read the whole thing, but I found quotes from from these various writings. So this one is from Popular Superstitions. So, I feel convinced that the true interests and solid happiness of man are promoted by the advancement of truth. Yet, I cannot but mourn over the pleasant errors which it has trampled down in its progress. The fawns and sylphs, the household sprite, the moonlight revel, Oberon, Queen Mab, and the delicious realms of fairyland all vanish before the light of true philosophy. But who does not sometimes turn with distaste from the cold realities of morning and seek to recall the sweet visions of the night? So he's saying that, yeah, we know more now, but it still is kind of nice to believe in ghostly things. And it kind of, and these revelations from science and reason do kind of spoil the fun a little bit, even though on balance it's probably better for us.
So I'm going to take us with that to a very odd place, but it's true. So with science, we will eventually chart all of the maps that we need to know about, right? There will be a day if mankind manages to survive, all of its tempests, which I think it will. I'm not that much of a pessimist to think we're all going to die in a nuke someday. I do think eventually, self-preservation will kick in, and we will eventually be able to map out the stars, every planet, every nook and cranny of the expansive universe. But
I do tend to think that if it was going to happen, it wouldn't have taken this long. So I agree with you.
Yeah, there will be a day where we chart the universe, right? But the thing is, there is something that people don't know, and some people freak out, some people don't. There will come a day where we've discovered everything we can, except for what happens when we kick the bucket.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, and this is one of the crazy, creepier things that I think of, if when we make it to the edge of the universe, if we just won't wonder what's on the other side of that, and people are going to start making those connections. You know what I mean? Like, what's on the other side of the expanse of the universe? Is that the physical place where we all go to on the other side? Who knows? But what's ultimately faith-based, right, is we don't know. Hence, we have a little bit of faith, and it helps us go to sleep at night. And it helps us, find comfort in certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
But science will eventually fill in every gap. Like, one day we will find the cure for cancer. One day we will find the cure for AIDS. one day we will find the cure for. We will get over this whole vaccine thing that's going on, and more or less adopt science to where we have to. Where more or less, hey guys, yeah, science is the known, religion is the unknown. Right now, everything that is charted is for our own benefit, and everything that's not charted, well, that's where we all have our belief systems and our little imaginations that we can go to bed every night. And to quote Richard Matheson, what dreams may come. Right? But
yeah, and Ichabod, part of the thing that rubs people the wrong way of Ichabod's that rubs people the wrong way about Ichabod's hard-nosed approach to scientific inquiry is they blame him for coming to harsh conditions. Like when Katrina is burning the evidence that he has against her father, he's telling her, this is. I arrived at this conclusion not because I have anything personal against you or your father, but because that's where the chain of reasoning led. And Katrina says, well, then find another chain of reasoning. And then when he's talking to young Masbeth, saying, this is the terrible conclusion that I've come to. I can't come to any other conclusion that other than Katrina is the one that's been controlling the Horsemen. And Masbeth gets angry at him. He says, how could you believe such a thing? But if you are a scientific thinker, the way that Ichabod is, it doesn't matter if you like what you find out or not. That has nothing to do, whether you like it or not, has nothing to do with whether it's true. And that's something that's, I think maybe, I could look into this, but maybe that could have been like a new concept, like believing things that you wish weren't true, as a matter of just where the evidence leads.
So that's how do I put this? We actually are encountering that a lot nowadays. We don't want to believe where the evidence went. I mean, yeah. I'll give a good example. That the alleged CEO shooter, Luigi Mangione,
yes.
Right? Let's put it like this. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. We know he did it. The face recognition matches the eyes. He has a very unique set of eyebrows, right? Yeah. The evidence is there. The problem is everyone feels bad because the dude has a legitimately relatable story, and a lot of folks don't really much mind that he capped the CEO. So,
what do you mean he has a relatable CEO? He has a relatable story. He's the child of privilege. He had no trouble with health insurance himself.
No, it was mostly because his doctors dicked him around. That's where a lot of people are empathizing. Like, oh yeah, the surgery's here, surgery's there, surgery's here, surgery's there.
As far as I know, he had no personal experience with that kind of thing. I might be wrong.
No, that's more or less what has been talked about with him. Like, he has a busted up spine, and it's affected his life. It's affected his livelihood. Pain all the time, and more or less, that's where his vendetta comes out to with the insurance companies, right? Now, I'm pointing all this out because as nice of a story as it is on paper, we let that go. We're now condoning murder, right? Real murder. And the evidence has been presented to us via the TV set and all the internet folks that have posted pictures and the wanted signs and the CCD footage. It pretty much was him. But you might get a bunch of people making an emotional call the day the trial comes, and they're going to vote not guilty. Now, do I condone what he did? No. When I hear about what Brian Thompson was doing, though, as a United CEO, where you had AI denying people's coverage for their health care, and a lot of people probably died because that AI was faulty as shit. Do I feel bad? Fortunately, unfortunately, no. Because a lot of people got hurt by what you did. Do you deserve to be dead, though? No. It's one of these things, right? We're watching the human experience unroll in front of us. But as someone, right, that although I don't care what happened to that guy, logic and law beat me to my fucking knees. The dude is most likely guilty, and all the evidence in front of us points to he needs to go to jail. Now, was he a terrorist? No. I think that was extreme on the part of the U.S. government because it's not a politically motivated crime. It's a personal one, not terrorism. He needs to go to jail, throw away the key, and call it a day. If the jury, however, finds, that the law enforcement, which is what they're saying, law enforcement might have seized the evidence without due process, well, those laws were placed by rich people to protect rich people for when they get their house property seized. And it would be ironic on the other side, right, if he gets off due to a legal technicality like OJ did. But it's the law. And sometimes laws don't change until you make an example out of somebody. Maybe we'll stop playing around with this endless search and seizure crap, and when somebody's guilty and we find them red-handed, we learn to maybe cut this little part of the red tape off. But until then, that red tape is there. It's part of the process, and it has to be adhered to because, like in some cases, it gets people off that we don't want to see get off. Diddy. It also gets people on that we need to stay in jail. People like Cosby, who, although they said they would pardon him, he hasn't been pardoned. He's still sitting in jail. People like...
Who said they would pardon Cosby?
Well, apparently the judge said he promised the prosecution team he wouldn't prosecute, and now they're calling it on it. But apparently they're like, no, unfortunately, the judge only doles out the sentences. The judge doesn't dole out innocent or guilty. That's part of the jury, and he was tried by his peers, and he was deemed guilty. I hate to say it, there's times where the system fails us. For example, this is me getting a little political, but it is what it is. The judge who was handling the Trump case, the jury found him guilty, and the judge just didn't feel like doling out a sentence because he was a supporter.
We have to ask which case, but yeah.
I believe the Stormy Daniels case.
The Stormy Daniels case, right.
I believe he was found guilty, and the judge just didn't...
He was found... Yeah, he was found guilty. That trial was sort of bogus, though, because it was being tried as a felony, whereas falsifying business records. It's a misdemeanor, with the statute of limitation of which had expired, and you're gonna get and the way that they got the number 34, it was 34 felonies, right?
Something like that.
It was 34. Yeah, the way they got that number was not because there were 34 payments made, not because there were 34 separate documents that falsified those business records, but because the payment was mentioned 34 times in the document. So is that really 34 counts of falsifying business documents?
See?
So
it's
kind of a bogus thing.
And this is where I go back.
They were also trying to say that it was a form of election interference, which is maybe a bit of a stretch. I'm not a fan of Trump.
Yes.
Make that clear.
Yes.
But that trial seemed pretty bogus.
So this is where it goes back to it, right? We don't like the motherfucker. I don't. But you got to do everything the right way by the book if you want to have results. It's not a matter of...
It matters whether it's true or not.
Yeah, you got to do it by the book. If you can't do it by the book, you're not going to have successful responses. Unfortunately, as a public, especially in the U.S. here, we have a thing where we follow our emotions a little more than we follow our logic, right? You got to be a little more Vulcan, folks. You got to stop being too human. When you follow your emotions too much, it's very easy to get pissed off and mishandle information, mishandle things, let your emotions get the better of you, and next thing you know, nothing is getting done. because we're stuck on that feel-good moment.
Yeah, it's confirmation bias, and this is Ichabod telling young Masbeth and Katrina that confirmation bias is not a good thing. Like,
no,
whether you want something to be true or not has nothing to do with whether it's true.
Yes, like
he's kind of like it's interesting. Like, you know, we're at this time in history where science was relatively new, where scientific thinking was new, and he's explaining to people how it works.
So, I was explaining this before. It's fascinating, right? But I'll point this out because this is one of the coolest things about the Ichabod character, and I think as a child this was imprinted onto me. I used to believe in conspiracy theories when I was in college. You know, the Illuminati, the stonemasons run the country, right? Like all those jokes and shit. I used to believe it because you see things and it's like this quiet, forbidden knowledge. But over time, there's more evidence disproving that there is this Illuminati group out there than there really is any evidence proving that there is one, right? The Illuminati, as we know, was around for a little while in the Bavarian societies, and that was it. But as for this giant circle of people, there is a group of billionaires that more or less does have a vast influence in how things go around the world, and they're very secretive and nobody really knows who they are. But at the same time, it's not a wise thing to live your life all day long trying to confirm the bias, right? Like to blame all these things and find that, because it doesn't really get you anywhere, right? Like all those years I spent on YouTube like an idiot following that stuff, I learned something really important. You only chase after things that are useful. You can only do things that have some kind of sense onto it. The quicker you snap out of chasing after these things and you start focusing on the real time in the real world, the faster you'll make progress, right? Occam's razor. I'm going to point out a recent case that a lot of people are starting to, right now, in real time, as we're talking about it, they're throwing out conspiracy theories behind it. Charlie Kirk.
Yes. Yeah.
I am going to be the first one to say on this podcast, I think that what we're seeing on the news is how it went down. I really don't think
so. You think it was as simple as there was just some kid that had a gun and shot Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
Yes, me too.
The evidence is there, and I'm gonna be upfront with you. A lot of people like to sling mud nowadays, and they want to twist things to kind of use this as rallies to hurt each other. So I'm going to use some language here, but I apologize in advance, but it's, again, in the essence of I don't want... This is what this information is telling you. They tell you, hey, Israel colluded with these operatives to have Charlie Kirk killed so that Trump won't release the Epstein files. I'm like, dude, let's start here. Why does it matter that? Like, what do you want me to do with that information? Do you want me to go around discriminating, Israelis? You want me to go around being anti-Semitic? I'm not going to do that. Another one, the transgender community, who disavowed Charlie Kirk, is responsible for his murder, and we need to do something and fight back, and it's time that we didn't let this happen anymore. I'm like, what do you want me to do with that knowledge? Do you want me to go, mind my language, do you want me to go on a fag drag and start targeting these people and hurting them? I'm not going to do that. How about we look at the simple facts here? This guy confessed. Mm-hmm. It took coercion from a priest for him to confess, because he was proud about what he did. He's about the age of the kids that have been probably terminating online his whole life. There's a lot of memes and like junk on those bullets that, me being somebody who's also follows the online trends, I got it immediately. Adrian and I here have played Helldivers too. We get the up, up, down, down, left, right joke. It's a thing to end the war in the game. It's a nuke you drop. All this stuff. I get what he was going for. It's shit posting, which can have bad effects in real life. You tell me what is most likely happening here. If there was anything that by the book we could do to incriminate the president and, get him out of office due to something real bad, because I'm not a fan of Trump, I would love to do it, but unfortunately, man, this isn't it. The dude was shot by another guy who's crazy. Let's look at the set situation. He went to a place where they had petitioned for him not to go, in a part of the country where gun access is very easy. He went. He started doing his thing where he trolls people while he was debating. Trolls South Park. I'm not having an argument. I'm master debating, Mom. Yeah, he goes and he does this thing, and it's promoted. It's it's not like he just shows up, pop up at Turning Point. It's promoted. He does this, and he's an open target. Oh, he was under a tent. Of course he's under a tent, but there's like 3 or 4 TV screens showing you where he is under the tent, and everybody in parts of Utah and parts of the South and the Midwest know how to handle a rifle. It's part of their childhood. They know how to play with a BB gun since they're kids. Oh, it's an elite sniper shot. Say what you want, man. You can believe all these things you want, but at the end of the day, the most logical thing here is he was shot by one dude. There is no mass conspiracy behind it.
Wasn't that skillful a shot, because he was shot in the neck, but it seems more likely that the guy was aiming for his head.
So I've learned this about most of these.
I have not watched the video. I did not want to.
Don't. I saw it. I literally punched in Charlie Kirk to see who he was, and it's the first thing that popped up on the feed. So don't. I'm telling you as a warning. You don't want to see it. Do not punch in Charlie Kirk on Instagram. It's at the top of the key.
No, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen the video, and the news still really upset me. Just like what I was afraid it was going to do to what I was afraid that it was going to do to the country.
Yeah, it caused a lot of determined division, destruction, fear. Everybody freaked out. Also just the fact that a human being was violently murdered in public, who had a wife and 2 young children. Was just horrific. Yeah, I go back to it. I'm not going to discuss the dude himself. I'm discussing the case.
Yeah, we can talk about that
off air. But the case where I go to is everybody was sitting there saying, right, all these conspiracy theories spreading fear, and I'm over here saying it to everybody. It is what you're seeing. It's nothing special. This guy was murdered by a single shooter, and logic has to be thrown in here. It's most likely what it was. Oh, but it was such a professional, deadly shot. It looked like he was aiming for his chest, and he missed, and he hit the neck. It looks like he barely got that shot off. If you want me to be honest with you, most of these guys are trained to go. I've learned this over the years, talking with people and cops and forensics. Your average punk doesn't aim for the head, because it's, when you look at the diagram, right, it's too small of a target. They aim for the chest. Charlie Kirk was sitting. He aimed for the chest. His hand probably moved, and he probably got. This is where it hit the neck.
My guess would have been that amateurs aim for the head, because they're not smart enough to aim for the target that they're most likely to hit. Because my understanding is that law enforcement is trained to aim for the chest, because that's the largest target. That's the place that you're most likely to hit. So an amateur would be the one that would think, well, the head is the one that kills them, right? So that's one that I'm going to go to.
That too.
I think I don't know. I think I'm done talking about this.
Yeah. We'll go back to the original point, though, where we were at.
Yeah.
It's logic, right?
Sure,
We're at
yeah.
what we see being presented to us is logically most likely what happened. It's not anything further than this, but we live in an era right now where we're thinking too much with what we want to believe versus with what's out there. We really want there to be this cabal of billionaires doing all these horrible things. We really want there to be this moment where we're all gonna feel good and put things away. But as somebody, right, that studied law, studied the criminal system, everything needs to be done by the book. If you mess around with the book, it's a loophole and people get out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, right now, the internet is the architect of its own demise. We are essentially in a point right now where we are hurting ourselves with how much we've spread this stuff around on the internet, right? Like, we're giving evidence away every time we hashtag and tweet. And Ichabod Crane kind of summed this up. I wish it wasn't Katrina, but the evidence is pointing her way. Fortunately, he figured out the evidence, right? That he's like, wait a minute. Let me go look at that wound one more time just to double check here. And that was the eureka moment.
Oh, no, it was the circle, though, that really sparked it because he read that it was a protection circle, not an evil one.
Yep, that's the point, right? Like, the clues, boom, he had one more thought moment and he figured it out. And that's one of the cool things where I'm like, you know what? That character has stuck with me and most people over the years, right? Like, you don't want to, but you need a minute to just ponder over so you can find the evidence.
See, he has to reach the conclusion, but he also makes the choice to say, this should never be uttered. That's what he says.
Yeah, he's like, we're not going to talk about this. We're not going to entertain it. We're just going to move on about our day, and that's
not
it.
The same thing. Yeah, which is not exactly the same thing as saying that it's not true. It's just, but he's admitting, this is a horrible piece of knowledge, and people shouldn't have it.
Yeah, best example I always thought that was a tribute to Murder on the Orient Express. Oddly enough, which Johnny Depp would be in years later. Like, this idea that Hercule Poirot was like, I could not solve this case, even though he did, and he's just like, I'm not going to say anything, I'm going to omit all the records so that hopefully everybody here can kind of move on and call it a day. Like, in his case, I feel he's like, yeah, we're not going to say this, this is over, we're closing the case, and this is the end of that. And it's like, I always sit there and I'm like, unfortunately, man, sometimes you don't want that to be the case, but you have to be. It has to be. I have one more case, but we can talk about that one off air, where I'm like, man, that guy didn't do that. And then all the evidence came out, I'm like, oof. I felt like Dave Chappelle. Really? Damn. They found it in his car? Yes, sir. But, damn. It's dead to rights. Like, they got you. But, I always thought that was a really interesting part of that subject. And I'm always like, with this movie, considering it's a Tim Burton movie, it's the only film I've ever seen, though, where that does really heavily come into play, where he's like, we're not talking about that anymore. I'm leaving here because I've caused more harm than good. I'm gone. I don't want to arrest her. It's not going to come out of me. But, yes. So, we got real dark here in the last few seconds. Does anybody have anything light to break up the mood? Anything before I resort to the soundboard and desperately try to break up the darkness? What? Anything. Come on.
My favorite scene is still when Johnny Depp's character gets nailed by the flaming pumpkin, when he literally just sits on the horse and watch it comes at him.
Thank you.
You know what I noticed? In that scene. So there are toads croaking in the creek around that bridge, and if you listen carefully, you can hear the toads are you can just hear it. They're saying "Ichabod, Ichabod, Ichabod," It's a cool effect. Thank you.
I didn't hear that.
I didn't look at the credits. I'll bet both of you $1 that was Frank Welker doing the Toads.
Oh man, you're coming
I
to
want
me.
that
You're
dollar
coming around here in a second. I'm gonna look that up.
No, that's my dollar.
Make
You
it
back off.
interesting.
Oh fuck you, my dollar.
You don't need it. I need it.
Watch. Just,
Oh damn it! I hate AI on Google so bad.
what'd it do to you?
It shows me a search, and then it'll just reset and take away my search and give me something else.
Was it?
I had
Looks like
it.
it wasn't. Looks like I owe you both $1.
Yes, you do. Frank
Alright,
Welker is
$1.
not credited anywhere in Sleepy Hollow 1999. He was,
Yeah,
it
he's
seems,
a-
however, in Scooby-Doo and the Headless Horseman.
Oh, cool. Well, that's because he's the voice of Fred.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Fine, keep your dollar. 50 cents out of you. That's it.
50
You're half
cents,
right.
okay.
It's,
Okay,
it's Horseman adjacent.
I'll give you 50 cents. I'll give Adrian $1. How's that sound?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
He's supposed to get 50 cents too. We call him the Officer
No.
Inspector 50 Cent all the time.
How is he supposed to know that? He hasn't played with us.
He should.
Anyway, but so there's that. There's the Toads saying Ichabod, but then you get a shot of one of the Toads jumping into the lake or into the river, which really rounds out the reference. Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Because in that same scene, the pumpkin flying towards the camera is supposed to be a reference to that film. So I think that the inclusion of toads in that scene was supposed to be, yeah, toad. All right.
Really? I didn't notice
think
that.
so.
That's pretty cool if it is, though.
I think, well, the fact that they're in the same scene, the fact that there are toads in a scene that references Ichabod and Mr. Toad, I think that's supposed to be intentional.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Fuck Disney, but that is pretty cool. I just gotta say it one more time. You'll never get me say anything nice about Disney except that one time we were off air and I said something sort of nicely about them with Oscar in contentions. That's about
What
it.
was that again?
See, I'm not saying it on air because fuck Disney. On air, I hate them. Fuck them. I hate them. Anyway, final. Are there any other scenes we were supposed to talk about? I feel like there's one we missed.
I feel like it is 12:23 where you guys are.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's
Well, I don't have another job until another 12 hours from now, so I'm all
I should
right.
probably go to bed too.
Yeah, right. So, with this one being said, because I'm surrounded by old people who need to go to bed at certain hours of the day because they're old people. That's right. I called them old. I know they're thinking
Pedo,
about
me
calling
pot,
me
you're
old.
Black.
What?
Pedo, me pot, you're black.
Low hanging fruit. Not taking it. Not taking it. Not taking it. Just taking every urge.
Yes, you are.
Every urge to not take that one. Not taking it.
Okay, old man. It's okay. We'll give you your vitamins.
I might be an old man, but I'm not 60s old man. I'm just regular, nice old man. You know, progressive
year.
old man. That's right.
Nice old man. That's a lie. Why are you lying on here? You get out of here.
Yeah, you're right. I can't wait to be an old grouchy man that pulls a shotgun on kids whose balls land in my yard. That's gonna be cool. I had to be that person.
You know, like we all get to be Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino. when we're
Yep.
old men.
That's who I want to be when I get old. That's exactly who I want to be. All right.
Kowalski.
Yes, Walter Nowalski. This has been Punk and Jack. Well, I'm still using my code name for sign in and sign outs because at the end of the day, I built 20K over on TikTok with the sign in sign out.
It's tradition.
At this point, yes. Brand name. All right, we can sign ourselves out real quick because we got real dark there, and I think we're both tired. or use the water hose and spray people. Oh yes, that is true. Thank you, H Center, for CM 47, whatever.
Oh wait, who
Why the heck
said
she
what?
changed? Yeah.
We don't know, but they told me to just use the water hose and spray people. But yes, you guys want to sign? Somebody was clapping their things on their desk. I don't know if they said their sign up.
That was me.
All right, fine. I'm gonna sign everybody up. All right, everybody.
We're getting called old.
Good night. Happy Halloween. For those of you coming up, remember it's the best time of the year. Fuck Christmas, who likes to steal Halloween's thunder. I have to say that one too by contract out here.
Nothing against Christmas.
I hate the fact that the stores like to tell us that Christmas is the best time of the year. It's not. It's Halloween. Love this time of year. Want to be a little more festive, I have to go out and put more decorations up. But I'm happy. It's my favorite time of the year, folks. Happy Halloween.
You could take that Burr Live song, Most Wonderful Time of the Year, put it in a minor key, and you've got just like add Halloween words, and you've got a good Halloween song.
H Sinner, you really want us to stay up all night and party? Yeah,
What's our friendly Sinner talking about?
She's in her I want to rave phase. Just ignore her.
Here's what.
Call up. Okay, I'm looking at the chat for the first time since we've gotten comments. Okay, redheads.
Someone's. Oh boy, we're checking the chat.
Okay, she even admit to it, saying she's in her rave phase.
Yep, she's in the rave phase. Well, most of us have dangerous jobs, and I almost met Mr. Grim Reaper 3 times in this week. So, in one day, too. The fucking scary part. So, I think we all need our spry rest so we can keep up. Remember, everybody, on occasion, we get beaten by logic. And there's nothing we can do about it other than turn around and logically move forward, whether we want to or not. And this is me signing out saying happy, really happy Halloween.